Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's 7 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson, and you're listening to The Drive on this very rainy and wet and soggy Friday, September 27th. We are dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, and there are a lot of other people across the country who have it, well, pretty bad right now. We'll get into some of that with Ken Weaver here in just a few minutes, but there is a huge story. You say, is this well, we used to call them October surprises, but since, we vote so early now, you look for the September surprise. And is this it? It has to do with the situation on our border and new information that has been released by ICE. The director of ICE sent a letter to Representative Tony Gonzalez of Texas, laying out just exactly how many convicted criminals we believe have crossed our border illegally are now roaming around the country. Folks, it's scary. I'm going to throw some statistics at you. Listen very closely. The data say that among those not in detention, there are 425,431 convicted criminals. That's about, 425, let's call it 26,000. 222,000 of them have pending criminal charges leveled against them. And they're just roaming about the country. But what is even more concerning is when you break them down by what some of these crimes are. 62,000 people who crossed our border illegally are now in our country, and they have been convicted of assault. 14,301 roaming around our country now. ICE doesn't know where they are. They've been convicted of burglary. There are 56,533 with drug convictions, but it gets worse. Are you ready? 13,099 people in this country who came into this country illegally have been convicted of murder. That's right. We have 13,100 convicted of homicide. We have that many people, 13,100 people convicted of homicide roaming around our country. ICE doesn't know where they are. They could be in a neighborhood next to you. 2,521 have kidnapping convictions, and 15,811 have sexual assault convictions. Right now, we have of that group of 13,000 convicted of homicide. In addition to that, there are 1,845 who have pending homicide charges. 42,000, almost 43,000 with assault charges. 3,266 with burglary charges and 4,250 with assault charges. Not everybody who comes across the border is a criminal, but there are plenty of criminals among them. And this is exactly what Donald Trump has been saying.
I guess some egghead maybe said, oh, it's wonderful to release people, and it sounds so nice. We're releasing migrants into our country, but these are killers. These are people at the highest level of killing. They'd cut your throat, and they won't even think about it the next morning. And nobody who's allowed this to happen to our country is fit to be the president of the United States. I mean that, too. I mean it. Anybody that's stupid. I've been saying this now for almost 4 years because we built hundreds of miles of border wall. We had the best. This is bad timing for Kamala to show up today at the border. She didn't go there for 4 years. Now today she shows up, and these numbers got released. Somebody doesn't like her, I think. All she has to do is fly back to Washington and get this president that we have, if he's still president. I don't even know who the hell is president. Is he president? This is not. Get this guy to sign a little dot. You sign right over the little dots, and you sign your name, Joe Biden, and you say on it to Border Patrol, close the border and they'd close the border. That's what I did. Our border is open. Nobody can believe it. And I've been saying that in Venezuela, their crime is down 72% because they've taken their criminals, their gang members, their drug dealers, and they've brought them into the United States of America, and they're also releasing almost all of their prisoners. Soon the almost will be gone. Their prisons will be empty. Their mental institutions and insane asylums will be empty. They're dumping them in our country, and I never had proof. And those fake news reporters back there, they say, Trump, what would he know about that? What would he know? So these numbers just came out. Nobody's ever seen these numbers for years. Nobody's ever seen them. And probably some patriot murderers, convicted murderers in prison for life. These are convicted people for life are now in our country. And I can finally look at them and see, I say, I told you so to the fake news. These are hard, tough, vicious criminals that are free to roam in our country when you have open borders, but they're dumping everybody in here. I knew it before, but these numbers are actually worse than I ever thought.
Well, I got to tell you, they're shocking to me as well. I mean, we knew that, when you have millions of people coming across, and we heard Donald Trump talk about, how many of them are criminals, and then the countries around the South American countries and the countries down there in Central America and Mexico emptying out their prisons. It seemed like, yeah, if I were them, I would. If I had a way to get rid of my problem and clean out my jails, I'd send them right down to America. Let it be our problem. Made sense, but we didn't have the numbers until now. These numbers are verified. These numbers are indisputable. They come from ICE director, and they are in a letter and to Congress, and it's surprising, shocking how many, just murderers are roaming around our country. 13,000 murderers are roaming around our country, and ICE didn't have any idea where they are. How can we sleep well at night knowing that? Here is Tom Holman, a former director of ICE.
Well, people are saying, we talked about crime up in this country, and of course, then the left pushed back. There's no such thing as a migrant crime surge. Yes, there is, and this is more evidence of it. And look, Kamala Harris is not going to fix the border. Matter of fact, she should be ashamed even going to the border because she broke it. We handed this administration the most secure border of my lifetime, and they unsecured it on purpose. She compared ICE to the KKK. She's attacked the men of the Horse Patrol, the Border Horse Patrol, calling them racist. They have opened the floodgate. And remember this, Secretary Mayorkas has told ICE, you can't even look for somebody who's in the country illegally. That's a convicted of a serious crime. And so, most illegal aliens are running around free, knowing that no one's looking for them because the policy of this administration. Look, I'll say it again. This is why we need President Trump back in office, who will, number one, secure the border and catch and release, and hold sanctuary cities accountable. Sanctuary cities, even some sheriffs will say, well, we're a sanctuary because we want victims and witness of alien crime to feel welcome to come to and report that crime without fear of us working with ICE. That is a stone-cold lie because victims and witnesses of a crime don't want the bad guy released back in their community to take revenge. And so I said sanctuary cities are sanctuary criminals, and Bill mentioned that. When you release a bad guy from a county jail, ICE is going to do the job and go look for that person. And that's going to put the officer at great risk because he's going to access we don't know what weapons when he was in a safety and security of a jail. It puts the immigrant community at greater risk of crime because the bad guy is going to go back in that community to reoffend. It puts the immigrant community at greater risk of ICE arrest because when we go find that bad guy, he's probably going to be with others that weren't even on the radar. And I would tell any politician who believes in sanctuary cities, go to the immigrant community and ask them one simple question. Would you rather have ICE in the jail or in your community? They most say the jail. Because immigrant communities, even though many of them cross this country illegally and they violate the law here illegally, Most are God-fearing family people that want to protect their families, too. So they don't want predators in their neighborhoods either. So this is another failure of the Harris administration that can only be fixed by putting Donald Trump back in office and doing what we did best, making the border the most secure border we've ever had, and that was proven by data. That's just a stone cold fact. And taking the handcuffs off ICE, so ICE can go look for these people who are here illegally and convicted of the most heinous crimes. Let ICE do their job. They're good at it, but you got to let them do it.
Well, okay. Kamala Harris. This all comes on a day when Kamala Harris is going to the border for only the second time. It's funny how she's the border czar, but she only has, been there. This will be now her second visit to the border. I wondered why they were doing it so late in the day. And now I understand. They're doing it late in the day because, quite frankly, it's Friday, 5 o'clock. Won't be much coverage of it. And she's not going to have to be able much to say about this. I mean, her standard answer is always to talk about, well, we tried, but Congress wouldn't go along with it. But Congress wouldn't go along with it because it was a bad bill.
Do you think this is a crisis, and what is being done to address the root causes of our immigration problem?
I think the segue couldn't be more perfect because, listen, first of all, everyone knows our immigration system is broken.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and who broke it?
The first bill that we dropped, the first bill that we offered right after inauguration was to fix the immigration system. A comprehensive plan to deal with the immigration system. Do you think they've taken it up? No. We want solutions. The solutions are at hand. But frankly, we're in an election year, and the folks who want to return Donald Trump to the White House would prefer to talk about a broken immigration system instead of focusing on the solutions that are at hand.
No, their bill was more. The first thing that they ever did was they offered an amnesty plan. That was what they wanted to do. Now, let's be honest about it. And then the congressional bill was a non-starter. It couldn't have gotten out of the Senate, which is Democrat-controlled. It was going nowhere because it wasn't a very good bill. So, Kamala Harris is directly responsible for these amazing numbers. In case you're just coming in, 13,000 criminally convicted murderers have come across our border and are now roaming the streets of America. And that's with 2,521 have kidnapping convictions, and some almost 16,000 have sexual assault convictions. And that doesn't even count those with pending homicide charges, pending convictions on assault, burglary, and sexual assault. They are responsible for this. And if you're comfortable with, just opening the floodgates and letting 13,000 convicted murderers into our country, well, that's fine, I suppose. You go ahead and vote for Kamala Harris. I'm not gonna. It's 20 minutes now past the hour. Let's talk about the folks over at United Structural Systems. Now, what you need to know is right now, with all of the rain that's coming down, it should be a good time to check your crawl space or to check your basement area and see if you have any needs for waterproofing, because they are the ones who can get it done. And they're going to be coming and doing a little of that kind of work at my house, actually. Do you have poor drainage? Surface water floods over the walls, underground pressure forces basement into the water into the basement through tiny cracks. Do you see signs like you have maybe standing water in your crawl space, or musty orders, or floor joists with wood rot? Maybe you've seen this, hardwood floors that are cupping. That's a sign that you've got a waterproofing issue. With all of this rain coming down, it'd be a good time to check that. And if you've got a problem, don't waste another minute. Call the folks at United Structural Systems. They've been doing this kind of work since 1994. More than 25,000 satisfied customers. Also the place to go for foundation repair, concrete leveling. Here's the number, 615-488-7855. Learn more at ussTN.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. you close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
East Tennessee is getting absolutely hammered by the worst of what's left of Hurricane Helene. We've got all of it for you coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, there's Ken Weaver in the newsroom, and pushing all the blinky buttons once again is our good friend Chris Weber, as he does so ably. And Ken, boy, the rain, it just keeps coming and coming. And you're right. When you get to East Tennessee and into those states like Georgia and North and South Carolina, they're really getting hammered. And
absolutely,
I'm very concerned about this report that Walters Dam in Waterville, which the Waterville Lake, which is right outside of Newport, Tennessee, it's right over there, I guess. In Cocke County, I think that's right on the North Carolina border.
Getting right there, yes, sir.
Yeah, they said there has been and this is the term used by the mayor, a catastrophic failure of a major dam there on Waterville Lake. That would be Walters Dam. And so, apparently they've told the people to evacuate the city, and apparently a couple of rivers or creeks run through that town. And the way I'm reading it, they're about 15 feet above where they normally are.
Yeah.
So that could be a real problem.
Yeah, Pigeon River. In fact, it's washed out I-40.
Wow.
They're near Newport, and so I-40 is closed both directions there in Cocke County, and there's no telling when it's going to reopen, Brian.
Yeah, that's a serious thing. I mean, that's a major artery, I-40, through that part of the country. If it's closed because the bridge is washed out, well, you just don't build a bridge overnight.
No,
you don't.
No, you don't. Yeah, and this is just to the southeast. Well, just to the east of that split with 81. So you can get on up into Virginia and then go over if you're headed that way, but you're not going to be able to go I-40.
When I started looking at news this morning to prepare for this show, Associated Press had a count of 20 people dead.
Mm-hmm.
Then just before the show, I looked and it was 35 people dead.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at this moment, Associated Press reporting that it is 40 people dead.
Yeah.
So far. And I mean, 17 of them in South Carolina, 11 in Georgia. This is a very deadly storm. And again, you know, is it bad in Florida where it came ashore as a Category 4? Yes. Mm-hmm. Are there houses that got wiped away? Yes. But what almost always seems to be the case with these hurricanes is it's not so much the wind as it turns out to be the water.
Yes, sir.
That causes you problem because, I mean, this is going to, well, even in our area, you know, we've got some low-level flooding, but we don't have near the problems that they have over in eastern Tennessee. And I'm looking right now to see where the remnants of that storm are centered now just south of Louisville, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're gonna continue to get quite a bit of rain all the way through tomorrow. There, you know.
And you talked earlier this week about the Dipsy Doodle, Brian.
Yeah.
Does it still look like that to you? It looks like
I haven't looked at the spaghetti models of late or the cone, but it seems like it's stalled. As the last I saw a line in one story today saying the storm is expected to stall over the Tennessee Valley through the weekend.
Right.
So,
and the way it's rotating, it looks like it could rain on us here in Nashville for a couple of days. It looks like it's going to continue if it holds together the way it is.
Well, let's just see what it says here on the magic machine here. I have, let's see. I have an 85, virtually 100% chance of rain today.
Sure.
Saturday, 85%. Sunday, a 60% chance. And then it doesn't ever really get clear until about Wednesday, but cloud, at least the rain should stop by Monday.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you know, first world problems here. I mean, I'm looking at my pool. I'm going, I think it's going to come over the top of the pool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a minor problem compared to what some people are going through. But I mean,
right.
Everybody's got their own thing to deal with, and the rain, we needed it. But Lord, it would have been nice if we could have spread it out over a little bit, you know,
yeah.
rather than it coming so fast and furiously. So
exactly.
Yeah, be careful out there. Listen, there are areas right here in Middle Tennessee where you need to not drown, turn around. Or is it turn around, don't drown?
There you go.
There we go.
Turn around, don't drown.
It works either way.
Yeah.
Don't go driving off into the rain. Did you see that Fox reporter?
Yeah.
Who saved a woman this morning?
Yeah. He was trying to wait for 911, but then, I mean, she was just in distress.
She was really panicked, and so he waded out to her car, which was flooded out, and water, I guess, was coming into the car, and she was freaking out. He went over there and said, "Piggyback, let's go." And he walked her out. So yeah, it's a thing. It's a real thing. We'll try to get more information on what's going over there at that Waterville Lake during the program. But I'm telling you, this has been a hell of a storm. 140 mile an hour, Cat 4, and it's still giving us a lot of trouble in the form of heavy rains. 30 minutes now. Time past the hour. Time for the news.
3:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. And as you've just heard Brian mention, the death toll from Helene has now surpassed 35. It slammed into the Florida coast as a Cat 4 hurricane. Now it's a tropical storm, and it's causing big problems in East Tennessee. East of Knoxville, I-40 is shut down due to the Pigeon River overflowing near the North Carolina border. And then not far from there, downtown Newport is under mandatory evacuation orders due to the Waterville Dam failing. News 2 says flooding cut off a hospital from the land in Union County, and more than 50 people were sent to the roof to wait for rescue there. Now, the Salvation Army of Tennessee and Kentucky say they're prepared to help where needed. They say the best way to support the Salvation Army's disaster relief efforts is through financial contributions, which allow the organization to provide immediate and flexible assistance. Donations can be made online at helpsalvationarmy.org, or you can call 1-800-SAL-ARMY. As he departed Air Force One at Dover Air Force Base, Karen Travers asked President Biden if he supported Israel's decision to try to kill the leader of the terrorist group Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hassan Nasrallah, today.
You say you support Israel's decision to defend itself. Do you support what they did today with the strikes in Beirut?
We have to get more detail. I don't know enough to answer that question.
Now, this happened shortly after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delivered a speech to the UN General Assembly in New York.
It has murdered more Americans and more Frenchmen than any group except bin Laden.
He's talking about Hezbollah. Hezbollah is the one that started firing rockets into northern Israel while Israel was trying to take care of Hamas. And now Netanyahu says Hezbollah is next. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
We are just moments away from the first round of Phone Your Farb Friday, 615-737-9986 if you want to get on the line. In the meantime, let me tell you about the folks over at Genesis Diamond. If you want an engagement ring that she'll be proud to wear, there's only one place to go, and that's Genesis. They have cornered the market on all the world-class designers. New York, Los Angeles-based designers are the best of the best, and every store wants them, but only a few stores make the cut. Well, Genesis made the cut and has all of the luxury brands, all of the designers that women are asking for. Don't settle. Get her the ring of her dreams at Genesis, and don't think you'll pay more. Genesis has already completed, has completed ready-to-wear designer rings as low as $1,900. And, of course, no jeweler can beat the price of Genesis diamonds. Now, whether you want natural diamonds or lab-grown diamonds, Genesis has the guaranteed best prices and the highest quality. And only Genesis gives you a 120% diamond upgrade guarantee, plus free service for life, all with no commission salespeople, never any pressure. Nobody delivers for you like Genesis when it comes to quality, value, selection, warranties, or customer care. Get the deal you deserve on your diamond. Also, look at their expanded selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches. All the hard-to-find models are there at Genesis Diamonds, 2 locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It's 38 minutes now past the hour, 3 o'clock. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy on this rainy Friday. Time for a little thing we like to do on Fridays that we call Phone Your Farb Friday. Yeah, what are you thinking? What's on your mind? I want to know. I definitely want to know. 615-737-9986. Now, maybe you got a bee in your bonnet. Maybe you got a burr in your saddle. Maybe you got a bug in a place where, well, really no one should ever have a bug. A little slow there. Well, let's get on the phone, 615-737-9986. Climb up on our 100,000-watt soapbox and tell us what you're thinking about. Maybe you want to take umbrage with something you've heard. Maybe you've got an opinion you feel like hasn't been expressed. Maybe there's a question that you have. It doesn't matter what's up, but it is Phone Your Farb Friday. Anything can happen. Right now, you may want to have something to say about the news I reported at the top of the hour, that new information has come from the director of ICE confirming that there are 13,100 convicted murderers who have come across the border now roaming freely in our country. This, as Kamala Harris actually has landed in Arizona and is getting ready for her tour of the border, tour number 2. I wonder what she'll have to say about that information. I bet she runs from the cameras. What do you want to know? 615-737-9986. First-time callers, love to hear from you. Got a lot of open phone lines. Here we go. Tracy in Smyrna, you're on with Brian on the drive. What do you say, Tracy?
Hey, Brian, thanks for having me on.
Hey.
I just want to say a few things. Trump, of course, had us energy independent.
Right.
He did. He drilled for oil. And I don't understand why I'm 59, by the way. I don't understand my whole life. We had the oil embargo when I was a kid, when Carter was in office. Why has any of these past presidents, Reagan included, why didn't we, these conservatives supposedly drill for oil and make us energy independent and bring, OPEC to their knees? And it just makes no sense.
I've listened to a very interesting podcast. It's been out for a couple of years called Boomtown, because it's all about the area of Texas where I was born and raised, Odessa, Texas. And that's where the vast majority of American oil comes from, is this supply of oil known as the Permian Basin. And, they go through booms and they go through busts. And there's so many very complex factors that have to do with what causes a boom and what causes a bust. Sometimes it's beyond our control completely. Like sometimes the Russians just decide they're going to mess with us, so they release a bunch of oil. And sometimes the Saudis aren't our friends like we would like them to be. It is hard to know, but one way or the other, we got to drill. And we don't need an administration that puts onerous burdens on the oil industry. They need to be set free to do what they can do. And if you leave them alone and let the market fluctuate and do what the market does on its own without having to have any interference from government, you'll find that on average, your energy prices are going to go down. Unfortunately, we have an administration that loves to mess with the oil industry. They hate the oil industry. They hate carbon-based fuel. They just don't like it, and yet we're not ready to do without it. So it's a very complex issue. But if you just got out of their way, I'm pretty sure those good old boys in West Texas will be able to solve this problem for you. All right, to Alan in Manchester. Alan, you're on with Brian on the drive. What do you say, Alan?
How you doing, Brian? I just want to let you know, I live here in Manchester, Tennessee, and have, 35 years. But I've never seen this happen before. I had 3 buses pull up last Wednesday, and 140 Haitian migrants get off, and they go and get hotel rooms. Well, we get a news report to come out across Facebook from our local government saying that those Haitian migrants are there for work. And I want to know exactly what the process is, because we got to, is there a website or something that people go to put on, say, hey, we can take migrants here. We have housing available for them. We have jobs available for them. And they're saying that they put in a request for 40, but 140 showed up. So now we're overrun with people on the side of the street.
I need to know a little bit more. Like, what is the industry that they are now going to be working in?
They are failing to tell us that. They said it was some industry that is in Coffee County, where, from my understanding, from other people's understanding, is a manufacturing facility. So I don't know if they're going to be paying them minimum wage or $10 an hour, or how they're going to accommodate the other 100 migrants that are in.
Yeah, I don't know either, and that's a great question. Look, I mean, what we have been hearing is that this is happening all around the country, and these are part of the immigration, policies of the Biden administration. I just read a story this morning about a problem that they're having with Haitian immigrants in Alabama. So it's not something that happens somewhere else. It can happen here. We read a lot about Springfield, Ohio, and much has been said about that, but it happens all over the country because they're coming in. The Biden administration has just opened up the floodgates for Haitians coming to this country, and they're landing all over the country. And I don't know exactly what the process is, but I'll do a little research and see if I can find out. In the meantime, the thing we all need to know is that this is not going to stop if Kamala Harris becomes the president of the United States. That much is pretty clear. Now, I've been to Haiti a couple of times. I found that in Haiti, there are some very good people, and there are some very bad people. There are parts of Haiti that we were not allowed to go to without having, special forces guys standing around us with Uzis. I mean, that's how dangerous it was. We weren't even allowed to get out of the car until they secured the perimeter where we were working. So, Haiti has some good people who've been done wrong by their government, but it also has a bunch of very bad people. There's no doubt about that. Daniel in Scottsville, Kentucky. Hello, you're on with Brian on the drive. Daniel, what's on your mind?
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Wilson. First-time caller, sir. It's a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you.
I have a few questions that I don't understand why people aren't asking. If Joe Biden has been deemed to have his cognitive skills diminished to the point he is not eligible for re-election,
right?
On what grounds is he still eligible to run our country currently?
Well, he will run the country until they decide that it's time to to do away with him and to take him out of that office. And that requires action by the vice president and the what do you call it? The cabinet, members of the cabinet. They have to act. There's a whole process that has to go through there. And beyond that, nothing really can happen until the vice president is willing to say, we got a guy here who can't get it done. And I'm very worried about it. You're right. This is a tense time in the world. And we got a guy who is about half there. Certainly not up to the speed that he once was. I remember Joe Biden. I covered him for a lot of years. At one time, he was a sharp individual. May not agree with him, but you had to admit the guy had a brain cell or two working. Now I'm very concerned, and I don't think we have somebody strongly in charge of the White House. I think it's largely being run by staff now, and he is nothing more than a figurehead.
My next question was going to be, we all know that Biden's been more or less just a mouthpiece for the people that are directing him to a degree.
Right.
Do you think that they are just kind of like, hey, let's just give the old man a puzzle, something to do to keep him busy till his term's up, and then we can install our next political puppet? You know what I mean?
I think there's some of that going on. I think they said, just get him through, just limp him through to the end. And that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to limp all the way through to January. But thank you for the call, man. I appreciate it. I got a couple of phone lines open, but I would love to get a couple more calls on the line while we go to Jerry from Murfreesboro. Jerry, you're on with Brian on the drive. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Brian, well, we know that he's probably playing with his Barbie dolls and his G.I. Joes, and then they pump him up when it's time for him to speak. But what you just said is beyond criminal. What was the first thing that the communists did besides after taking the guns and religion away? They dumped out all of the prisons. This is like just beyond fathomable. And yet there's nobody doing anything. Congress they collect all their millions of dollars. They don't do nothing. It's just unbelievable. It's the end of the republic, really, is what it is.
It's so scary. It's very scary to find out that there are a little more than 13,000 convicted murderers, 15,800 convicted rape or sexual assault perpetrators, and then on total, out of all the people who've come across, we know of about 425,000 convicted criminals who came across the border illegally, now just roaming around the country. ICE doesn't know where they are, got no clue. They come across the country. If they get across, bam, they just evaporate into the fabric of America. And we have no idea where they are until they commit another crime and they rear their ugly heads. Look, I mean, not everybody who comes across the border, they are violating the law by coming here illegally, in my mind, but not everybody who comes across the border is a bad person. But boy, there are some bad people among them. Let me get one more in here. Jeff from Thompson Station. Jeff, you're on with Brian on the drive. What do you say?
Hey, Brian. Thanks for taking my call. I called in last week or the week before with hopes for the Titans, and my hopes have been completely dashed, and it's going to be a very long year. So, Titans fans, I love you. Hold tight. Top 5 pick incoming. We're ready.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. It's going to be a very long, drawn-out thing. But you know what? You have to break some eggs to make an omelet. So maybe an omelet is on the horizon. I'm going to be as positive as I can be. 50 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk. King Associates and Insurance in Brentwood has been an independent agency. They've been around for some 25 years, and what you want, I promise you, is an independent agency. Someone who can shop around and get you the best deal possible. Maybe you've looked at your insurance lately and you say, oh my gosh, this stuff is getting really, really, really expensive. Well, maybe you ought to have them run what they call their royal review over at King and Associates. Just call this number, 615-329-8121 if you have questions, and they'll hook you up with somebody. By the way, an actual human being will pick up that phone. And then, have them run that royal review with you. You can start the whole process on your own just by going to their website, tkinginsurance.com. That's tkinginsurance.com. While you're doing business with him, you might talk to him about bundling. Save a lot of money, 20, 25, 30, 35%. Huge savings are possible. So that's tkinginsurance.com. Get your royal review and understand that King Insurance and Associates will give you royal treatment and great rates.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Populations of animals. I mean, think about the white-tailed deer and how when Ed started, and maybe even before Ed a little bit, they started, working to bring these populations back. And now we have these sustainable populations that we can hunt.
Yeah.
The story of the eastern wild turkey and what's happening with turkeys. So I would consider all these things great successes. The conservation efforts that have been worked on by the personnel for years. I would think that it's a great success story for our state.
You're going to see some footage from an old film that was produced here at the agency in the Game and Fish days, and which shows some things like, the wife taking care of the animal that the officer, the husband, had to bring home to take care of, because they got a call, and times have changed. Now we have the rehabilitators that help out with that kind of thing. And
thank goodness. We got to be really good friends with some of those little animals. And got my first commission in 1972.
Okay. Yeah.
At that time, it was a little different. The whole law enforcement world was different then. So anyway, we got the first commission in 1972 and worked all over the state. It was really great to be able to do that. Pretty much, you had one uniform. And I noticed in the movie too, everybody wearing ties. For years and years, you had to. If you wore a long sleeve shirt, you had to wear a tie. It didn't matter if you were doing enforcement or seining a pond or whatever you were doing. You had that tie on.
Oh wow!
Wow! And then everybody looked forward. There was one date, and it kind of moved. It was generally around April the 1st. You switched from long sleeves to short sleeves, and you didn't have to wear a tie. And everybody's going, "Come on, April 1st."
Tennessee getting the worst of what Tropical Storm Helene is dealing out right now. However, I have a report that shows conditions may not be quite as dire in East Tennessee. We'll let you know at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, that's Ken Weaver in the newsroom, and Chris Weber is up there in the control room, and I need to get to the market news. Dow Jones Industrial set a new record today. Dow jumped 100 points, more than 100 points, closed the day up 137. The S&P down about 7, the NASDAQ down about 70, but those are not huge numbers, not hugely in the red. Overall, a fairly good week on the major indices. What's driving all this? Let's check in with Ty Draper over at Beacon Capital Management for more. Hello, Ty.
Hey, happy Friday, Brian. The markets were as mixed as our precipitation today, with the Dow closing at an all-time high and all three indexes extending the rally to a third week. Traders received encouraging inflation data that could give the Fed more reason to cut interest rates further. The PCE price index was below forecast, hopefully allowing for more continued cuts that would lower borrowing costs for not only businesses but consumers also. You know what else was up? That half-point rate last week set gold to a new high, notching its best quarter in more than 8 years.
Wow. All right. Listen, thank you so much, Ty. Greatly appreciate it. Learn about all the things that Ty Draper and John Maxson and the good people at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement. Just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. 58 minutes past the hour.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. And right now, the death toll is rising from what was Hurricane Helene, now Tropical Storm Helene. It has surpassed a 35 in 4 states. Right now, it is a tropical storm causing big problems in East Tennessee. East of Knoxville, I-40 is shut down due to the Pigeon River overflowing near the North Carolina border. Then not far from there, downtown Newport was put under mandatory evacuation orders due to the Waterville Dam failing. But we just got a report from the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency that dam is no longer at risk of imminent failure. So the National Weather Service flash flood warning for Cott County from that dam is canceled. Now, flooding has reportedly cut off a hospital from the land in Union County. Patients and staff were being rescued by helicopters after being trapped on the roof due to the flooding there. And the Salvation Army of Tennessee and Kentucky has put out a news release saying they're preparing to help where needed. And the best way to support the Salvation Army's disaster relief efforts is through financial contributions, which allow the organization to provide immediate and flexible assistance. Those donations can be made online at helpsalvationarmy.org or by calling 1-800-SAL-ARMY. As he departed Air Force One at Dover Air Force Base, ABC's Karen Travers asked President Biden if he supported Israel's decision today to try to kill the leader of Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hassan Nasrallah.
Sir, how concerned are you about escalation right now in Lebanon?
I'm always concerned about that. I'm always concerned.
Biden says the U.S. had no knowledge of or participation in the IDF action. Those strikes happened shortly after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delivered a speech to the UN General Assembly in New York, where he told other world leaders that Israel's goal is to eliminate the terror threats posed by Hamas and Hezbollah.
Several members of the UN General Assembly walked out as the prime minister entered the chamber, protesting Israel's nearly year-long retaliatory bombardment of Gaza. When Netanyahu reached the podium, he said other countries he thought should be speaking out alongside him against the militant group Hezbollah in the north.
It has murdered more Americans and more Frenchmen than any group except bin Laden.
The U.S., France, and other nations have been urging Israel to pull back aggressions in Lebanon. Netanyahu says Israel has every right to defend itself.
That is Sherry Preston reporting, and the latest news, traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. 7 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock today on this very rainy Friday. I have a feeling. I think a lot of people found excuses not to go to work today. I think they just decided, I'm not going to go. It's going to be too bad.
I couldn't think of anything good enough.
Well, you and I don't get that luxury. We have to come. When it's bad for everybody else, we got to show up. We are now talking about 40 people who've been killed by this storm. And surprisingly, most of them are not in Florida, where it came ashore and scraped the ground flat. I mean, it was a hurricane with a Category 4. 140-mile-an-hour winds coming right through there. And, it did its damage there. But, I mean, the deaths are caused by mostly the flooding that has gone on. There are 4 million people across the region who are without electricity. 4 million people. And as I said, 40 people have died from this storm. 17 of them have died in South Carolina. Which was not even in the direct path of the storm. But you're getting a lot of rain. East Tennessee, you've heard Ken Weaver bring you up to speed on everything going on in East Tennessee. And maybe we're going to get some good news out of Waterville, not as bad as it sounded like initially, because they sounded like it was bad. But you've seen, Chris, a picture of I-40 and what is it, out there on the right around the Tennessee-North Carolina border, where it's just washed out.
Yeah, right at the Pigeon River is what I assume it is. One side of the interstate is completely gone, and then you see the river down below it. And, and I don't know which direction it is, but, you have 2 lanes going one direction, a concrete barrier in between, and then where the other 2 lanes should be is nothing. It's just gone.
And so they probably have closed down the entire bridge, not letting any traffic go through. I mean, given the unstable nature of that bridge at this point, you wouldn't want to be going across the bridge anyway.
Mm-mm.
So that's going to leave a mark, as they say. That's going to take a while for them to rebuild. That's not something you just put together overnight. So we're in for, a lot more rain here in our area. Probably won't let up until, Sunday into Monday. This tropical depression is sort of just parked right on, it's a little north of the Tennessee-Kentucky line, directly north of Nashville. And it's just going to dump rain. And I haven't seen much about the Dipsy Doodle. What I see is people talking about the storm stalling out, which is, not the greatest thing for us. So, be careful as you drive around. Don't get into any deep water. Turn around, don't drown, and, use your common sense. And again, I think that, when you look at how things are, it's better for us than it is for folks in East Tennessee. It's better for us than it is for people in Georgia, South Carolina, and even parts of North Carolina, because they're really getting the deluge that just won't stop. I haven't seen any numbers about have you seen any numbers, Ken, about how much rain we've gotten here?
I have not seen that, man. I need to. I wonder if I could check that.
Well, I'll let you check.
Probably
on
not
that.
I probably can't get it for you quickly, but
all right. Well, we'll just when you get it, let me know.
Big 10-4.
Okay, thank Big 10-4 there, good buddy.
Yes, sir.
I want to talk about some other stuff that's going on, and that is the election, of course, 2024. And listen, I am absolutely convinced. I've been really putting some time in the books on this stuff, and I'm absolutely convinced that the entire election season is going to come down to whatever happens in Pennsylvania. Now, Pennsylvania is a very interesting state. I have spent a lot of time there during previous campaigns. I know the lay of the land. What they say about Pennsylvania is it's Philadelphia on the right, it's Pittsburgh on the left, and Alabama in between. And a lot of the central part of the country are just hard blue-collar working people. A lot of Amish, who tend to vote Republican, by the way, are in that part of the land, Lancaster, etc. If you've been there, you know. But you know where the election may well be decided? In Nipa. You ever heard of Nipa?
Wasn't that where the girl was from? The girl from Nipa?
Ipanema.
Oh, that's a different place.
Yeah, I can't say. I can't think. Ipanema. I think
Ipanema.
Ipanema.
Yeah.
No.
I like empanadas.
Well, then don't we all? NEPA is Northeast Pennsylvania. NEPA. NEPA. And this is actually the part of the state where Joe Biden claims to be coming from. Scranton. He says he's, Lunch Bucket Joe came from Scranton. Not really. I mean, he may have come from there, but he wasn't there long. But it is a very interesting part. I have traveled this part of the country. I've spent some time in Lackawanna County, and I can tell you that, it is extremely Catholic. Very interesting story in Politico, which, Politico reporting generally tends to go to the left, but I don't think their analysis here is wrong, where they're talking about, what's going to happen in NEPA. Biden's local ties and cultural roots helped lift him to victory in 2020 in Lackawanna County, the population hub of increasingly red northeastern Pennsylvania. In this most Catholic part of the swing state of the second highest Catholic population, Biden ran ahead of Hillary Clinton's 2016 pace. Now, let's remember, in 2016, Hillary lost Pennsylvania. It was close. In 2020, by 1 percentage point, Biden won. And Biden could resonate in this part of the world. Harris, on the other hand, is a very hard sell. So, many people think that as NEPA goes, so goes the host state of Pennsylvania. And so Biden squeaked out a win. Harris, it's a very hard sell. They continue. As Democrats battled for the state with Kamala Harris as the nominee, their chances of winning in the region or performing well enough there to carry the state are looking considerably dicey. It's not just the loss of Biden, an older white Catholic man with an affinity for the working class, from the top of the ticket that worries local Democrats. It's the cultural dissonance with Harris, a Californian, a woman of color, who has spearheaded the party's post-Dobbs abortion messaging. That profile makes her an awkward fit in closely watched, economically hard-pressed working-class region that's historically been a locus of anti-abortion activity. Biden was never wildly popular here, but as a native son, Biden is viewed through a nostalgic lens. To many in this once staunchly Democrat region, he embodies the older iteration of the party that was closely tied to organized labor and focused on economic issues. Even though Biden moved to Delaware as a child, he remained in close contact with the city of his birth and was seen locally as a protective force against the national party's progressive flank. Biden's discomfort with talking about abortion may have been a sore spot within the modern Democrat Party, but not here in culturally conservative northeastern Pennsylvania. Harris, by contrast, has been a leader on abortion rights, the first vice president or president to visit a Planned Parenthood abortion clinic, and has long positioned herself to the left of voters like northeastern Pennsylvania Catholics. Until this fateful summer, Harris's Pennsylvania deployments were often to places like Philly, as part of her reproductive freedom tour. Now, with the recent campaign stop in Wilkes-Barre, just 20 miles from Scranton in neighboring Luzerne County, Harris is clearly aiming to make inroads outside major metropolitan areas with a message toward middle-class working people. NEPA could well decide Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania will very likely decide the outcome of this election. I think that, Trump does better there than you might imagine. Now, all of this, being said, is that there are other factors in the state of Pennsylvania at play here. Kamala Harris is likely to do very well with black voters in Philadelphia and black voters in Pittsburgh. And those numbers will be probably higher than they would have been if Joe Biden had been the nominee. But if all things balance out, if the Pennsylvania, the Philadelphia, and the Pittsburgh balance out with, central Pennsylvania, it's going to be decided in NEPA, in northeastern Pennsylvania. So, I'm getting into, I'm talking about, this is the kind of stuff that, the real geeks focus on. But I'm telling you, you have to look at it not in a state-by-state basis, almost a county-by-county, precinct-by-precinct basis. And if you look very closely and study the history of Pennsylvania when in presidential elections, it's pretty fair to say that as NEPA goes, so goes the election. So I have some hope here that, Kamala Harris is not going to resonate well in northeastern Pennsylvania, in places like Scranton. And I think that you have a much better chance of having Donald Trump do well there. Again, I look at all of the polling data that has come out of Pennsylvania. And if you were with me yesterday, I was talking about it. Let me just repeat what I said. I'll look it up here real quick while I'm going through this. Pennsylvania. Let's see what we got here in Pennsylvania. I'm going to go through the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 polls. Okay. Insider advantage, Trump up by 2 in Pennsylvania. Marist, it's a tie. The Hill, Emerson, Trump up by 1. Muhlenberg College, it's a tie. Susquehanna, it's a tie. Rasmussen Report, it's a tie. And then out of nowhere comes this Bloomberg poll, which just came out. Harris by 5. I don't believe it. I think that's an outlier. But I think when you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 polls that show that it's a tie, and a couple showing it's a slight lead for Trump, and then you get one out of nowhere, Bloomberg, that says, well, it's Harris by 5. You got to consider that an outlier. I think it's as tight as a tick in Pennsylvania. And, we got to do our part. We got to go vote. Ask your friends and neighbors in other states to do their part. But red states are going to go red and blue states are going to go blue. And it's really up to these purple states. And the swingiest of all the swing states is Pennsylvania. And as Pennsylvania goes, it may well be decided by the people who live in this rather white, Catholic, conservative area of Pennsylvania that is known as NEPA. Wow, your friends with talk at the dinner table about NEPA. And they'll look at you and go, wow, that's a deep dive. Where did you hear that? You don't have to give me credit. It's okay. 20 minutes now, past the hour of 4 o'clock. All right, listen, fall is time for pumpkin spice lattes and pretty leaves and cooler, chillier wetters. Get out the sweaters. We're doing that at our house today. Kick off your fall season, though, with great offers from Busy Bee, plumbing, heating, and cooling, your Rude Pro partner. If you're looking for HVAC specials, how about a free Wi-Fi thermostat on qualifying new HVAC systems? That's right. You'll be able to control your HVAC system from anywhere. Or a free whole home air filtration system with purchase of 2 or more qualifying HVAC systems, or a new HVAC system replacement as low as $68 a month with approved credit. Let's talk plumbing. Busy Bee has new tankless water heaters as low as $72 a month. Whole home drain pipe replacement as low as $76 a month. Whole home water distribution replacement as low as $85 a month. And even a whole home water filtration system as low as $39 a month with approved credit. Remember, being a Beehive member is the best way to keep your systems in tip-top shape all year long. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee HVAC, your Rude Pro partner, 615-775-7833, or visit busybeehvac.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com. and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Yeah, right now, East Tennessee getting the worst of what is left of Hurricane Helene. A big rooftop rescue. We'll tell you about it at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 24, to make it almost 25 minutes past the hour, 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Just a reminder coming up here that after the news with Ken Weaver, it'll be round 2 of Phone Your Farb Friday. Now, people say, well, you had round 1 in the 3 o'clock hour. What's going on? Well, when Ken Weaver comes over to the afternoons, we had to have a reuniting of the three amigos.
Oh, without question. Yeah.
And that happens at 5:35 every day, and that's inviolable. You can't violate that rule. Inviolable.
There you go, Brother Brian. I knew you'd get it, dude.
I know.
You are the wordsmith.
Yeah, my vocabulary is shrinking, though, as I get older, I'll tell you. As my brain shrinks, so does my vocabulary. But we do the Three Migos now at 5:35. So what we did was we moved Phone Your Farb Friday to 3:35 and 4:35. And so in about 10 minutes, we'll do a round number 2. Now, I don't want to cast aspersions on the first group. They were okay.
They got the job done.
The job done. But, I mean, so we like to compare round 1 to round 2. It's not an official competition, so please no wagering. But you know, the round 2, folks, you know, bring your good stuff. We want you to beat the pants off the guys in round 1.
No offense to the round 1.
No. They did a perfectly okay job. But I think we can do better.
Perfectly okay.
It was perfectly okay.
That sounds like my Sooners head coach.
No, but there's nothing okay about the Sooners this year. No, I'm teasing. Okay, so anyway, that's coming up at 4:35. Phone Your Farb Friday. All kidding aside, we love to hear from you. So get your best thoughts together. We'll do that right after the news in a few moments. Okay. In the meantime, I want to tell you about gold. Because it has really gone up. The 2024 Monster Gold Rally continues to pick up steam. This according to CNN.com. The most actively traded gold futures contract has repeatedly hit highs this year, most recently notching a fresh record of $2,687.30 an ounce. Let me see what it is today. Today it's $2,680.80 an ounce. So it's down a little bit, but but still really, really high. Gold traditionally perceived as a haven, as a place where you go when things are volatile, has climbed roughly 30% this year. Wow, outperforming the benchmark S&P index 20% gain. That has in part been driven by a jump in demand from central banks, including China, Turkey, and India, who have added to their gold piles this year to diversify away from the U.S. dollars. So there you go. Gold always has been sort of that safe haven for people when they fear that volatility is on the horizon. And, I think people really look at in an election year as a volatile time. Now the markets have been pretty good. I mean, the Dow hit an all-time record today. And recently the S&P and NASDAQ have hit all-time territory as well. But one way or the other, a lot of people are sort of hedging their bets by putting money into gold. I have not heard anybody report this, and I found it in the Wall Street Journal. It's about Vanderbilt University. Nashville-based school will take over a Manhattan campus of Episcopal Seminary that's in financial distress. The university, based in Nashville, has signed a 99-year lease for a 2.2-acre property in Manhattan's Chelsea neighborhood. The campus currently includes 13 buildings with 150,000 square feet of space. Chancellor Daniel Diermeyer said the property is valued at more than $100 million. The school is still assessing the investment needed for renovations. Vanderbilt has set its sights elsewhere, too. The university recently pitched a $520 million project in West Palm Beach, Florida. It has an agreement with the city there, but is still in discussions with county officials. Wow, Vanderbilt expanding into Manhattan and into West Palm Beach. As colleges raise their price tags, Vanderbilt and its peers are jostling for new ways to attract students. Location can be a significant selling point given access to jobs and internships, and other universities like Cornell are doing the same thing. Wow, listen to this. Vanderbilt's published price for tuition, fees, and room and board this year is, what would you guess?
I don't even have any idea. 60?
Oh, no, try again.
100?
I'm out, man.
You're not far off, Ken. It's $95,000.
Wow.
That's for tuition for fees and room and board in a year. About half of undergraduate students received need-based financial aid last year, the school. Well, anybody that's come up with $95,000 in tuition probably needs a little, unless you're really wealthy. Vandy, wow. So anyway, I thought it was interesting that they're planning, and apparently they're doing quite well. Able to expand, pick up a property here for $100 million or so.
Well, when you're charging $100,000 a year, you can do that, I guess.
Wow. I kind of tell you. 30 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock.
4:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories this Friday afternoon. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And East Tennessee seems to be getting the worst of what the remnants of Hurricane Helene have to offer right now. Right now, it is a tropical storm causing a lot of problems in East Tennessee. East of Knoxville, I-40 shut down due to the Pigeon River overflowing near the North Carolina border. Not far from there, downtown Newport had been put under a mandatory evacuation order due to the Waterville Dam failing. But we have learned since that the dam is no longer at risk of imminent failure. So the National Weather Service flash flood warning for Cott County from that dam is canceled. Now, flooding cut off a hospital there in Union County, and patients and staff had to get on the roof for safety there at the Unicoi County Hospital. But we have learned they have been rescued, according to the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency. A lot of folks are going to need help in the aftermath of this, and the Salvation Army of Tennessee and Kentucky put out a press release saying they're preparing to help. They say the best way to support the Salvation Army's disaster relief efforts is through financial contributions, which allow the organization to provide immediate and flexible assistance. Donations can be made online at helpsalvationarmy.org or by calling 1-800-SAL-ARMY. Israel today launched a massive attack using bunker buster bombs in Beirut. The target was Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah, and the Justice Department unsealed criminal charges against 3 Iranians, which Attorney General Merrick Garland says operated as hackers trying to break into former President Trump's campaign. Garland says the 3 accused hackers were employed by Iran's Revolutionary Guard. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
37 minutes past the hour, 4 o'clock, Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock. Time for round number 2 of a little thing we like to call Phone Your Farb Friday. (615-737-9986). That's the number. You know how this thing works. You know, you get on that line and maybe you've got a bee in your bonnet and you want to get it off. You know, you got a burr in your saddle. You got a bug in a place where, honestly, I hope that you never, ever have a bug. So just get on the phone line at 615-737-9986 and step up on our 100,000-watt soapbox and express yourself within boundaries, because it is a family show. Now, this is a slow day, I think. A lot of people are not on the roads. I think a lot of people decide to stay home. So I got a lot of open phone lines at 615-737-9986. I mean, maybe you want to take umbrage with something that I've said. Maybe you have a question, that you've always wanted to have answered, and maybe we call that stump the chump. See if you can stump me with. No, I don't want to be stumped, but if you have a question and I can help you, then let's get on with it. 615-737-9986. All right, I mean, seriously, a lot of open lines. Let's go. Richie in Clarksville, start us off here. You're on with Brian on the drive.
Hey, Brian, nice talking to you again. Real quickly, I always like to shout out to the U.S. Navy submarine, submariners, and the veterans out there.
So were you were a submariner? Were you on a boomer or were you on an attack sub?
I was on the fast attack. We were stationed on Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. And I just wanted to shout out there. It's a very elite group. I was with the nuclear power field, so I helped operate the reactor.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Before you go, I mean, I'm just fascinated by this topic. I've actually been on an attack sub, and I spent a day on the USS Alabama.
Oh, yeah. They're bigger than people think. They're a couple stories high. They're size of 3 football fields, underwater. They're massive, so a lot of people always wonder about claustrophobia, but it's not as bad as you think.
No, it's not. It wasn't great for someone who was 6'4". I kept hitting my head on stuff, but other than that, all right. Listen, you had a point. Go ahead. What's on your mind?
I would wish Trump would focus a little more on the threat to democracy that's on the Democrats instead of them always trying to push it on him. There's plenty of tools and weapons to use against them. About just home, safety from all the immigrants coming on over here. You've got women's freedoms, having to play against biological males, and there's plenty of tools out there and weapons. I just wish he'd focus more on that and flip that switch on to them, because they're the ones that are threats. They're weaponizing the federal government and and the IRS and everything.
Well, it was a good day for Republicans today when the director of ICE put out this letter that laid out exactly how many convicted murderers we've let across the border and now walking around the streets of our cities here in America. We don't know where they are. And then it's like convicted rapists. There's like 15,000 of them, 13,000 murderers. All told, we know that of the people who've come across, there are at least, and I think this is a low estimate, 425,431 convicted criminals. This comes on a day when Kamala Harris was going to the border. And she's going to have to answer questions about that unless she runs from the press corps, as she often does. So, I think your timing on this is everything. I'm feeling a bit more optimistic. There was a time where I thought it could go either way. I wasn't sure, but I'm starting to see little signs. Some of them are in the polls. Some of them are anecdotal. Some of them, help me understand a little bit, as I was talking a moment ago about NEPA in northeastern Pennsylvania. That area could well be the deciding factor, and she doesn't do well there. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, you're right. I think you're going to see a lot of the stuff that you're concerned about is going to be raised in the last days. And we're sort of in the last days now, aren't we? because early voting has already begun in some places. Richie, thanks for the call, and thanks for your service. I tell you, it's very cool being on a nuclear submarine. It's one of the most interesting days I've ever spent. Zachary in McMinnville, you're up next with the drive. What's on your mind, Zachary?
Yeah, it's Brian, first-time caller here. Hey, I just wanted to say on the immigration aspect, if they really, truly want immigrants to come here the right way, shouldn't we have some kind of system in place to where whenever you come here, you don't automatically get to vote? If you truly want a better America, you do not get a vote, but your kids will get the chance to vote.
I don't know. Right now, I like sort of what we have, which is if you're not a legal U.S. resident, you're not supposed to vote at all in national elections. Now, we know that people do. It's hard to quantify how many do, but I've brought you half a dozen stories in recent days about people who have not been supposed to vote because they're not citizens who have voted in the past. Now, I must admit that the numbers I'm seeing are not huge, but those are the ones that we've been able to verify. It's really, really a lot more difficult to track this stuff down than you might imagine. But I'm just saying, if you want to do something to make the immigration system an easier process, I don't have any problems with that. But there still needs to be a vetting. There still needs to be, we need to look at these people closely before we say, welcome to America. And just opening up the doors and letting anybody who wants to come to America is not the right answer in my estimation. A little off point, I think, for you, Zachary, but hope that helped you. Let's go to Tim in Spring Hill. Tim, you're on with Brian on the drive.
Hey there, Brian. Thanks for taking my call. I wanted to change the subject just a little bit. I had a question about Mark Robinson, the lieutenant governor in North Carolina. I've heard that there's been some accusations leveled against him, and I was trying to find out what the real scoop is.
To be honest with you, I'm going to be real brutally honest with you. I haven't focused on the story all that much. I know that he's the lieutenant governor, and he's running, and his staff has basically quit. There are all kinds of allegations against him, and I know that our governor, who once supported him, is no longer supporting him. But be honest with you, with what's going on in Tennessee and what's going on the national election, it was just something I thought a little beyond what I wanted to spend a lot of time focusing on. But here's a story I'm looking at right now from the News Observer. Days after a scandal upended, and now I'm having a hard time reading this story, upended Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson's campaign for governor. Most of his campaign staff has resigned. Now much of his staff in the lieutenant governor's office have resigned as well. And what is it all about? Subject of a CNN report tying him to a series of vulgar, anti-Semitic, racist, and sexually explicit posts on a pornographic website. So not good. That would tend to hurt your campaign no matter what. So there's the background on that. I have a feeling, it was a CNN report, but I haven't heard anybody say that they were off base on that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Steve in Lebanon, you're on with Brian on the drive. What's on your mind, Steve?
Hey, Brian, good to talk to you again. A couple of days ago, you were talking about Kamala Harris's repeated use of the word holistically in one of her interviews or speeches. Well, having grown up in Minnesota, I can translate Democrat to English. Basically, when she's saying holistically, that's Dem speak for if we throw enough money at the problem, it will solve itself.
You're talking about. Let me see. I think I can do this. You're talking about this. Deep Thoughts by Kamala Harris. Talking about doing things holistically.
And assistance to state and local governments around transit dollars. And looking holistically at the connection between that and housing. and looking holistically at the incentives we in the federal government can create for local and state governments to actually engage in planning in a holistic manner that includes prioritizing affordable housing.
There's a lot of holistically going on there. And you say that means, well, we're just going to throw a lot of money at the problem and see if we can fix it, right?
No, I'd throw a lot of money at the problem and see if it goes away.
All right, Steve. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Dean in Franklin. Hello, Dean. You're on with Brian on the Drive. What's on your mind, Dean?
Well, it's about that 14-year-old down in Georgia, mass shooting, killed 2 students, I think 2 teachers, and they said they're going to try him as an adult. And my question is, and I think Georgia does have a death penalty down there, and can they try him, convict him under that as a death penalty if he's tried as an adult, even though he's a teenager?
Well, I don't know. I'm going to have to plead complete ignorance. I mean, I know about the story, obviously, but I don't know about. I'm not an expert on Georgia law, so I'm going to have to take a pass on that. But I'll try to get you an answer on it. I'll tell you, it's. I think that when you get to be about 16, 17 years old, you know what you're doing. You may not be technically in the eyes of the law an adult, but you certainly know what you were doing. And there have been cases where they've taken people who are that age and tried them as adults successfully. So, again, I think it depends a lot on the laws there in Georgia. Here we go. Let's go to Charles in Murfreesboro. What's on your mind, Charles?
Yes. I seriously believe that Kamala Harris is going to be the next president, and I'm going to explain to you how I believe it's going to happen.
All right.
The day after Trump is elected, she's going to get Biden under paragraph 25, and she will become president until Trump takes over.
Okay, so you think she will become president for the transition?
Yes, absolutely. That's my prediction, and I'm going to stick to it.
But that doesn't mean that she can continue on.
No, she can't continue on, but she can have the right to say that she will be president until Trump gets in office in January.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, I don't see much percentage in that. I mean, look, it's entirely possible. Biden's old. There's something could happen. I'm not wishing that it would happen, but it could happen when you got somebody that old and obviously in cognitive decline. She could end up being the president of the United States. But I don't know. I'm having a little trouble with your scenario. Let me get one more in. Ginger in Spring Hill, you're up with Brian on the Drive.
Hello, Brian.
Hey.
I just wanted to ask, why do you think Trump and his campaign didn't go with a minority or a woman or both for his running mate? Because I like J.D. Vance. I think he's very smart, very well-spoken, but it just seemed like, it might have worked out better if he would have had a different running mate instead of a white male.
Well, I had some people, I think J.D. Vance has acquitted himself quite well, quite frankly. I think he's done really, really well. He is good on the stump. And I'm looking forward to this vice presidential debate that we're doing because I think it's going to be very interesting to watch J.D. Vance, go after Tim Walz and just sort of, I think he's going to be a guy who can hold his own against Walz with no problem whatsoever. That said, there were some other people that I thought might have been better choices. But, the thing we keep being told, and I believe it's probably true, vice presidential picks don't really make that big a difference. People vote for the person at the top of the ticket, not necessarily, they seem to not have any cases, with very few exceptions, where it has made a big difference. A lot of times, for example, if you get a Massachusetts very liberal Democrat, they'll go for somebody out of Texas, and that has helped. The old East Coast to Texas connection did seem to help some Democrats in the past, but most of the time they say it just doesn't really make much difference. And on that, we'll have to close it out. 52 minutes now past the hour.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
5 o'clock on the dot this Friday afternoon. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. East Tennessee seems to be getting some of the worst of what is left of Hurricane Helene. I-40 is shut down both directions just inside the border with North Carolina due to the Pigeon River eroding the bank under the interstate. 50 patients and staff at a hospital in Union County had to get on the roof due to flooding. We have learned they have been rescued. And the town of Newport had been placed under a mandatory evacuation order when it was thought that the Waterfill Dam was going to be breached. Well, the death toll's rising across several states. In North Carolina, Rocky Mount Fire Chief Darvin Moore confirmed significant damage in the town from a tornado spawned by Helene.
We had a tornado touchdown here in the Tiffany Boulevard area. There was confirmed of 11 serious buildings that were damaged and 14 total buildings damaged. There was a total of 15 injuries, 4 seriously injured, and all those were transported to UNC Healthcare.
Now, so the total number of deaths across several states here in the South has grown to at least 43. A Texas congressman says he's been provided with data showing tens of thousands of illegal immigrants with sex offenses and homicide convictions released into the U.S. House Homeland Security Committee member Tony Gonzalez telling Fox News he requested data from the Biden administration on how many illegal immigrants with a criminal history have been released in our communities in March. Says he got his answer this week. Over 662,000.
When I got this letter back, I was grateful that I got the response, but my stomach turned. You know, my heart sank to see the numbers on paper. It just goes to show of how real this threat is.
Congressman says that data is from ICE. They include 13,099 convicted of homicide, 2,521 kidnapping convictions, and 15,811 have sexual assault convictions. As he departed Air Force One at Dover Air Force Base, ABC's Karen Travers asked President Biden if he supported Israel's decision today to try to kill the leader of Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hassan Nasrallah.
Still gathering information. I can tell you the United States had no knowledge of or participation in the IDF action. We're gathering more information. I'll have more to say when we have more information.
Well, the strikes happened shortly after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delivered a speech to the UN General Assembly in New York, where he told other world leaders that Israel's goal is to eliminate the terror threats posed by Hamas and Hezbollah.
All that has to happen is for Hamas to surrender, lay down its arms, and release all the hostages. But if they don't, we will fight until we achieve victory, total victory.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. 8 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on this Friday, September 27th. A lot of rain out there, but I'm telling you, as much as it is delusion. What is the word? It's a deluge in our area. Boy, it ain't nothing like what we've seen over in eastern Tennessee and North and South Carolina and Georgia. It is really coming down and causing real problems over there. We have flooding. We have interstate Highway 40 has been washed out, part of it. And I mean, I'm telling you, it's really bad. 4 million people without electricity. And I was just looking, the death toll so far is at least 40. And, you know, it's always interesting to me, again, the hurricane came across the Florida Panhandle in the Big Bend area. And it was 140 mile an hour winds. And I mean, that's a serious storm. But the majority of the deaths are coming from the flooding after all the rainfall in places like South Carolina, where 17 people have died. So as the old saying goes, it's generally not the wind that gets you, it's the water. And with heavy rains, sort of overflooding the banks, we've had reports of dams that have perhaps near collapse or had some serious problems. That may not have been as bad as it first sounded, but it's still, they got a lot of water and a lot of rain, and it's not getting any better. So that we'll stay on top of that. Ken Weaver's got it locked down there in the newsroom, and if there's anything more that we need to know, he'll let us know. But 40 people now reported dead over 4 different states as a result of this hurricane and the associated winds as it became a tropical depression. It's going to meander. By the way, it is meandering now, just sort of parked between here and Louisville. And that means that it's just going to continue to rain through the weekend. So we're not done with it yet. Okay, so be careful out there. Don't drown. Turn around. Be smart, and keep an eye on the sky. I want to just clean up one thing during the Phone Your FARB segment a few moments ago. A guy asked me about someone who was a teenager who was going to be charged as an adult in Georgia. And I was reminded by many alert, cunning, and sly listeners to this radio station via the Members Nutrition Super Text line they're correct. They reminded me that in 2005, the Supreme Court ruled that you could not try anyone under the age of 18 and give them the death penalty. So you can try them as an adult, but they cannot be tried for the death penalty. So there's that. Okay, clean up. We love to clean up and make sure that we do the best to keep you informed. And thank you for those who notified, and I double-checked it. You're right. You're 1,000% correct. Okay, all that aside, we'll check in on the weather in a moment, but I want to spend the rest of this first segment in the 5 o'clock hour talking about a real problem. Today, the director of ICE, his name is Patrick Leitner, and he sent a letter to a congressman by the name of Gonzalez from Texas, outlining just how many people who've come across the border illegally have criminal histories or have pending criminal cases leveled against them. The number is quite shocking. I want to give you just the basic numbers here. The number of convicted murderers who have come across our border illegally and have found their way into America, ICE doesn't know where they are. They couldn't lay their hands on them if they wanted to. The number of convicted murderers who have come across our border illegally totals 13,099. There are 13,099 convicted murderers among those who have come across the border. Oh, the statistics don't get any better. There are 15,811 convicted of rape or sexual assaults who came across the border illegally and are now in our country, and ICE doesn't know where they are. This is what the Biden open border policy has brought you. You know, today, Kamala Harris is going to the border. She arrived there, about an hour ago. 5 o'clock on the East Coast, 4 o'clock our time. And she's going to go and make if you want to bury something, you do it at 5 o'clock on a Friday, right? That's the way you do it. People will not find out about it likely. People don't watch the news that closely on a Friday night. They're out living their lives. They have things to do on the weekend. They don't watch the news. So by the time we get to Monday, it's 3 days past and it's old news, right? But she's there today. And I hope that reporters will get to ask her a question. I doubt she'll even come close to a reporter, given the fact that this story is out there. How do you feel about 13,099 convicted murderers floating around our country? We don't know where they are. Well, Donald Trump had some thoughts about it today. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The Republican presidential candidate, Donald Trump.
I guess some egghead maybe said, oh, it's wonderful to release people, and it sounds so nice. We're releasing migrants into our country. But these are killers. These are people at the highest level of killing. They'd cut your throat, and they won't even think about it the next morning. And nobody who's allowed this to happen to our country is fit to be the president of the United States. I mean that, too. I mean it. Anybody that's stupid. I've been saying this now for almost 4 years because we built hundreds of miles of border wall. We had the best. This is bad timing for Kamala to show up today at the border. She didn't go there for 4 years. Now today she shows up, and these numbers got released. Somebody doesn't like her, I think. All she has to do is fly back to Washington and get this president that we have, if he's still president. I don't even know who the hell is president. Is he president? This is not. Get this guy to sign a little dot. You sign right over the little dots. And you sign your name, Joe Biden, and you say on it to Border Patrol, close the border, and they close the border. That's what I did. Our border is open. Nobody can believe it. And I've been saying that in Venezuela, their crime is down 72% because they've taken their criminals, their gang members, their drug dealers, and they've brought them into the United States of America. And they're also releasing almost all of their prisoners. Soon the almost will be gone. Their prisons will be empty. Their mental institutions and insane asylums will be empty. They're dumping them in our country, and I never had proof. And those fake news reporters back there, they say, Trump, what would he know about that? What would he know? So these numbers just came out. Nobody's ever seen these numbers for years. Nobody's ever seen them. And probably some patriot murderers, convicted murderers in prison for life. These are convicted people for life are now in our country. And I can finally look at them and see, I say, I told you so to the fake news. These are hard, tough, vicious criminals that are free to roam in our country when you have open borders, but they're dumping everybody in here. I knew it before, but these numbers are actually worse than I ever thought.
Yeah, worse than I thought, too. And listen, I'm telling you, all told, 425,431 convicted criminals out of those that we know. And this is probably a low estimate. These are the ones we know of. I'm sure there are a lot more that we don't know of. Tom Homan is the former ICE director. He had a few things to say about this.
Well, people are saying, we talked about crime up in this country, and of course, then the left pushed back. There's no such thing as a migrant crime surge. Yes, there is, and this is more evidence of it. And look, Kamala Harris is not going to fix the border. Matter of fact, she should be ashamed even going to the border because she broke it. We handed this administration the most secure border of my lifetime, and they unsecured it on purpose. She compared ICE to the KKK. She's attacked the men of the Horse Patrol, the Border Patrol, Horse Patrol, condom races. They have opened the floodgate. And remember this, Secretary Mayorkas has told ICE, you can't even look for somebody who's in the country illegally unless they're convicted of a serious crime. And so, most illegal aliens are running around free, knowing that no one's looking for them because the policy of this administration. Look, I'll say it again. This is why we need President Trump back in office, who will, number one, secure the border and catch and release, and hold sanctuary cities accountable. Sanctuary cities, even some sheriffs will say, well, we're a sanctuary because we want victims and witness of alien crime to feel welcome to come to and report that crime without fear of what's working with ICE. That is a stone-cold lie because victims and witnesses of a crime don't want the bad guy released back in their community to take revenge. And so I said sanctuary cities are sanctuary criminals, and Bill mentioned it. When you release a bad guy from a county jail, ICE is going to do the job and go look for that person. And that's going to put the officer at great risk because he's going to access we don't know what weapons when he was in a safety and security of a jail. It puts the immigrant community at greater risk of crime because the bad guy is going to go back in that community to reoffend. It puts the immigrant community at greater risk of ICE arrest because when we go find that bad guy, he's probably going to be with others that weren't even on the radar. And I would tell any politician who believes in sanctuary cities, go to the immigrant community and ask them one simple question. Would you rather have ICE in the jail or in the community? They most say the jail. Because immigrant communities, even though many of them cross this country illegally and they violate a law here illegally, most are God-fearing family people that want to protect their families, too. So they don't want predators in their neighborhoods either. So this is another failure of the Harris administration that can only be fixed by putting Donald Trump back in office and doing what we did best, making the border the most secure border we've ever had, and that was proven by data. That's just a stone cold fact. And taking the handcuffs off ICE so ICE can go look for these people who are here illegally and convicted of the most heinous crimes. Let ICE do their job. They're good at it, but you got to let them do it.
I wonder how much coverage this will be given by the mainstream media. I have a doubt that the thing about it is I post things on Facebook from time to time. And honestly, on Facebook, I don't ever really get particularly political most of the time. Most of the time, it's just stuff that I'm, lighthearted stuff, things that I've gone and seen and done, and people that I know. But I posted something about this today, and it's funny how I can put a picture of my bulldog up there, and I'll get 1,000 people who like it. But I put up something that really impacts this country, and I'll get like 29 responses. People say they liked the story or that they were interested in the story. I might get 200 or 300 comments on something that's sort of fluff. But when I put real news out there like this, news that, the left doesn't want you to know about, isn't it interesting how very few people seem to be able to see it?
Well, I tell you, Brian, I had to go to Congressman Gonzalez's X account to get the audio.
I know.
And I type it in, and there's nothing mainstream.
I know. And this is huge.
This absolutely is. And Congressman Gonzalez says, look, this isn't a Republican or a Democratic thing. This is an American safety thing.
It is.
This is a safety issue.
I just, I don't think that the social media platforms, with the exception of X, are playing on with a level playing field here. I don't think they are. I think they're throttling stories they don't like.
This is news. This is news.
It's huge news. And I guarantee you, if you watch ABC News tonight with David Muir, you're not going to see crap about this.
No.
22 past the hour now. Hey, are your retirement assets structured to minimize taxes? Hard to believe, but many hardworking Americans just like you could be overpaying on taxes in retirement. You can be taxed on your IRA, your 401k, and any other tax-deferred retirement accounts. Beacon Capital Management is here to give you peace of mind. With the threat of massive tax increases just around the corner, your nest egg could be in trouble unless you take advantage of defensive tax-saving strategies now. Defend your hard-earned retirement retirement savings by scheduling a free retirement tax reduction analysis today. No cost, no pressure, no obligation. If you've saved more than $250,000 for retirement, don't wait any longer. Schedule your free retirement tax reduction analysis from Beacon. Just call this number, 615-488-9303, or visit askbeaconnow.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
East Tennessee getting some of the worst of what is left of Hurricane Helene. We'll let you hear from a alderman about a daring rescue of dozens who sought safety on top of a hospital today. That's coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, I saw some pictures from that, and flooded out fire trucks, flooded out ambulances, and people are up on top of the building waiting to be rescued by air.
Yeah.
I mean, really, unbelievable stuff. Well, our rain is not over. It's going to continue to rain through the night. It looks like, according to the app I'm looking at here, it looks like Saturday, 85% chance of rain, and even on Sunday, a 55% chance of rain. It will decline throughout the day on Sunday, and then Monday, no rain, but very cloudy. We get partly cloudy on Tuesday, and then sun comes back up on Wednesday. And by the end of the week, we're back up into the 80s. But, I mean, we are in for a lot more rain in our area. I don't think anything like what we're seeing over in eastern Tennessee, in the states of North and South Carolina, and in Georgia. They really, They really got it, and a very serious thing there. Want to remind you that we're going to be doing the vice presidential debate together. We're going to have one of those events at Hop Springs where you can come out and join us. I'll be there starting at 3 o'clock doing the drive, and then I'll be joined by Dan, Chris, Matt throughout the evening, and then we'll do an hour or so together, and then if that weren't enough, and by gosh, don't you think it should be? We also have the extra added edition of the Fox Nation people are going to be there broadcasting and streaming. And they'll be going live on national TV both before and after the debate. So this is the one, this will be Tim Walz and J.D. Vance. It ought to be pretty good. I mean, I like that J.D. Vance. I think it'll be interesting to see how he handles, Tim Walz. That'll be something to watch. But hope you'll join us out there for the big event at Hop Springs in Murfreesboro. We've been there before, had a great turnout. I anticipate we'll have another great turnout thanks to the folks at the Clock Store. Details at 997WTN.com, and we hope to see you there. All right, so you know what's coming up next, don't you? We did. Oh, by the way, we never really did decide who won round 1 or round 2 of Phone Your Farb Friday.
Oh, yeah. I got to give the nod to round 2.
You think so?
I think it was
I was going to say round 1, so I was going to say I think it's a tie.
All right.
We'll call it a tie. Sometimes a tie, we can have a tie. It's a little, dissatisfying having a tie.
Everybody gets a participation ribbon.
No, there are no ribbons, and there are no awards, and nobody wins actually anything except a hearty thanks and a pat on the back and a big old attaboy. Because we don't have anything, and we don't ever, I don't have anything to give you.
We'll give you a thumb pistol. Ooh, attaboy.
How about if I give you this nice pen that I have?
Ooh, a Bic.
I don't know. It's a Sharpie.
Ooh, fancy.
A fine pointed Sharpie. That's the only kind of pen that I use. Sorry, we don't do it, but I think it's a tie.
All right, fair enough.
No, all right, fair enough. Coming up, though, the reason that we moved up and we do the Phone Your Farb at 3:35 now is because coming up in a few moments, the ever popular Three Amigos, where anything can happen. Right now, what's going to happen is the news with Ken Weaver at 5:30.
.5:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And East Tennessee seems to be getting some of the worst of what is left of Hurricane Helene. I-40 is shut down just inside the border with North Carolina due to the Pigeon River eroding the bank under the interstate. Then dozens of people were airlifted to safety after spending hours on the roof of Unicoi County Hospital in Union County. Irwin Town Alderman Mike Michaels says it took several trips and 5 helicopters.
We had 3 from Tennessee and 2 from Virginia that came and airlifted everybody off, and all of that has happened within the last hour.
Ambulances were first sent in to evacuate and relocate patients, but the hospital flooded so quickly paramedics could not get near it. Well, the death toll is rising across several states, and in North Carolina, Rocky Mount Fire Chief Devin Moore confirmed significant damage in the town from a tornado spawned by Helene.
Right now, we're currently in the recovery phase. We're just trying to wrap our hands around everything. We are actually doing a damage assessment, making sure all the power is cut, the gas is cut, utilities are cut. And then once we get that, make it deemed safe for the occupants to go back in, then they can assess the area.
Total number of deaths across several states now has grown to at least 43. A Texas congressman says he's been provided with data showing how many illegal immigrants with a criminal history have been released in our communities. House Homeland Security Committee member Tony Gonzalez telling Fox News he requested it from the Biden-Harris administration in March. Says he got his answer from Immigration, Custom, and Enforcement this week.
We're talking convicted murderers. We're talking convicted sexual assaults, very serious crimes.
13,099 convicted of homicide, 2,521 kidnapping convictions, and 15,811 have sexual assault convictions. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, if you're a fan of Legend Steakhouse like I am, you can enjoy some of those same flavors right at home on your very own grill. Take a walk down your local grocery store aisle, places like Walmart and Kroger, and look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. Johnny Fleeman's Marinade proprietary blend will give your steaks, chicken, or chops a flavor that will hit a home run with friends and family. It's low on sodium, about a third of other brands, so you don't have to worry about over-marinating. And let's talk for a moment about his honey mustard salad dressing. Man, that's good stuff. Salad dressing or a dipping sauce, you can use it as that. Favorite, it could be used on your chicken fingers, your fresh-cut veggies or chips. It's a recipe used in his restaurant for over 35 years. Now, if your favorite grocer isn't stocking Johnny Fleeman products, ask them to do so. For more information, just go to johnnyfleeman.com. And it goes without saying, for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at your nearest Legend Steakhouse for lunch or for dinner.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, californiaclosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, californiaclosets.com.
Hey, there it is. It's that festive music means it's time for the three amigos to gather. The three amigos are Ken Weaver in the newsroom. Hello, Ken.
Good afternoon, boys.
There is Chris Weber in the control room. Hello, Chris.
Go Dogs.
What's that? What was that?
Go Dogs.
Oh, go Dogs. I'm sorry.
Yeah, boy, that's going to be a big one.
Yeah, that's going to be a good game. And I am Brian Wilson. Together we make up the three amigos, where anything can happen. Anything can happen. It's like the rules don't matter. We have no rules.
We've established there are no points and prizes, and now there are no rules.
That's right.
It's
no
complete chaos.
That's right. We make it up as we go along. And one thing, the general concept is, it's very loosey-goosey, I'll be honest with you, but the general concept is we each bring a weird story that we found, and we talk about it. But that sometimes it just goes off the rails.
It happens.
And that's okay. That's okay. I can't decide which of these two stories that I want to start with today. One of them is about, well, I'll just do the politics. You think our politics are rough, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, nothing compared to what happens in Sao Paulo, Brazil, The candidates for mayor in Sao Paulo, Brazil, took to the stage for a televised debate on September 15th. That was, some days ago. Of course, it's just getting to us because, Brazil. Pablo Marçal referred to allegations of sexual misconduct against his rival, Jose Luis Datena, the Associated Press reports. Now, in response, Datena picked up a metal chair and approached Marçal's podium and then slammed the chair into his side.
Wow.
Yeah. He's just like, it's like an old episode of the Maury Povich show. The moderator cut to commercials, and then they came back. The debate resumed without Marçal because he was rushed to the hospital with a fractured rib cage. Marçal says it's an attempted homicide, and Datena says, well, I was wrong to do it, but I have no regrets. Sorry, not
do it
sorry.
again.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry, I guess is what I think. Yeah. It makes our little debate seem sort of tame.
Yes, indeed, man.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Well, that is assault. I guess. Well, I don't know about there.
I don't know what the law in Brazil is, but it seems like assault.
I would think they would frown upon hitting each other with chairs. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're just real quick because I love this other one. I know I'm taking two, but it's all right. Here it is. Javon Owens, age 23, has been charged with first-degree murder after he got into a dispute over a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. On September 15th. The DeKalb County Daily Chronicle reports. A witness told DeKalb police that Owens and another man argued about the victim not cleaning up after themselves, whereupon Owens swung a butter knife and struck the other man. A butter knife.
Wow.
Well, the victim was seen at a local hospital, been transported because he had a punctured intestine. I think he did a little more than swing that butter knife.
Yeah.
He said he believed 100% that Owens would kill him. He now faces up to 60 years in prison in a fight over a PBJ.
That's crazy.
Rinse this knife off when you get done with it.
Yeah, I know.
Man, people are crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in whatever relationship, friendship, whatever, if you're getting to the point like that, you need to separate yourselves, man.
Yeah, that's not working out for you, is it?
Either that or you've just got mental issues.
Yeah,
you go off the rails over something like that. I mean, I've been annoyed and aggravated plenty in my life, but never to the point where I wanted to, take a butter knife to someone's gut.
No.
That's a little uncalled for.
I didn't know that you could hurt somebody with a butter knife, but apparently I now will look with much more respect at Cabana Wife when she tells me to clean up the dishes.
She waves it at you. Look here now, Mr. Wilson.
She's just got a little cake spoon. You better look out, man. A little icing spreader.
Yeah, I know. Of all the conflicts we have, it's about dishes most of the time.
About you not doing the dishes?
Yeah, I get busy, and I'm a busy man.
Right.
I have a lot on my plate. No time to wash them.
Yeah. Can't wash the dishes. Can't kill the yellow jackets.
Don't get me started on the yellow jackets. I'm in such. But at least this time I have used 3 spray cans on those yellow jackets.
Man,
spray of the foamy stuff that's supposed to kill them.
Right
now, I had a hornet's nest, and I found that, and I shot it, and they're gone.
Yeah,
these yellow jackets are hard. They hang on.
Apparently, the trick is you gotta attack at night because that's when they're all in the nest down in the ground.
If you go back into the nest and it's full of poison, that seems like that would get them.
It seems like it.
And it just makes them mad, I guess.
There can be up to 15,000 yellow jackets in one nest.
Man,
15,000.
Well, maybe that's the problem.
And here's the thing, too, Brian. I mean, not only do you guys have yellow jackets around, but hornets, too.
Yeah,
You've got the 2 most aggressive type stinging insects there are right there where you live, man. You need to be careful.
Well, I don't know why we're such an attractive place for that kind of insect, but I mean...
It's all those lovely plants out there.
Oh, that's right.
If we didn't have the plants...
You're pointing blame now, Brian. You better watch out.
That is a beautiful garden.
Grogu's gardens get to be more of a problem than it's worth. All right, who wants to go next?
Brother Chris?
All right, I'll go next. I'm taking you back to California once again. A gentleman named Ken Wilson He's a Pacific Gas and Electric customer who's lived in his apartment complex by himself since 2006. And he tells the local ABC station that he noticed a few months ago that his electric bill started to creep up. So he was, worried about saving money. So he tried to cut back on usage and even purchased a little device that helps him monitor how many watts of electricity all of his appliances and whatnot are using. He says, I even turned off breakers and kept going outside to check the meter and sees that it was still running, and he just couldn't figure it out. He just didn't know what to do. He contacted the utility about the issue. They sent someone out to check his apartment and check the meter, and they confirmed that his suspicions weren't unfounded. The utility company released a statement saying that Wilson had been paying the electric bill for the apartment next door since potentially 2009. 15 years. This guy has potentially been paying his neighbor's electric bill. They said, quote, our preliminary investigation has found the meter number for the customer's apartment was being billed to another apartment since potentially 2009. They did own up to the mistake, and they say they're committed to rectifying the situation with the customer.
That guy's going to get a heck of a refund.
Well, yeah, you would think so, but in an update to the local ABC station, the PG&E spokesperson says that Wilson's meter was fixed so that he would only be paying his share of the electric usage, and then he was credited over $600 to his account with the company.
That doesn't seem like enough.
No, it does not.
I don't know how much his electricity bill is, but $600 over the course of 15 plus years. He actually thinks he moved into the apartment in 2006, so he suspects it could have been going on since he moved into the apartment, and he just didn't know. So we're talking getting close to 20 years of potentially paying someone else's power bill.
18 years, right, for sure.
And somebody else didn't say anything about it.
Yeah.
I wonder why we're not getting an electric bill.
Oh,
shut up.
Never mind. Quiet.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's something.
I don't know if $600 is going to count.
No.
Got to cut it, but
no, I wouldn't think so. Not in California.
I would say try again, PG&E. Yeah.
I'm sure utility bills are quite high in California.
I would think so.
You know it is, yeah. Yep. All right, Chris. All right, Ken.
All right, we've heard about these fast food wars. Of inflation skyrocketing, and even if it is coming down, as they say, prices are still elevated.
Right.
Well, apparently, the war between Wendy's and McDonald's is going to another level. McDonald's, according to this report from CNN, has become notorious for its broken ice cream machines.
This is a long-running thing, yeah.
Yeah, there's an independent website that monitors broken McFlurry machines. So Wendy's is taking advantage. Wendy's is selling small $1 frosty frozen dairy desserts until September 30th, collaborating with the website called McBroken, which reports which McDonald's locations have broken ice cream machines.
Yep.
So the Wendy's Frosty has been the go-to sweet treat fix when fans' cravings strike and they can't get it at McDonald's. Nearly 15% of McDonald's ice cream machines are broken. That was as of Thursday, according to McBroken's data. And the most frequent time for this is between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. in some of the major cities.
Yeah, that's right.
Chicago, Houston, Las Vegas, New York, and Los Angeles. So Wendy's, it doesn't say anything in this about whether Wendy's is actually making a bigger profit on this.
Well, but they're gigging. They're one of their major competitors.
Yeah.
So, and apparently the problem is they're not really broken.
Yeah.
They're being cleaned.
Yeah. And they're too lazy to clean them.
And a lot of people say, well, we're a little shorthanded today. I don't have somebody to clean the machine like we're supposed to. Yeah. So we just won't have any ice cream today.
It's broken. I just pulled up this McBroken.com, and we've talked about this a few years ago, I believe it was. And, you just go to this website, and it pulls up a map of the Nashville area. Of course, that's where I am.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because it pops up all the little dots where there is a McDonald's location, and it shows either green if it's working, red if it's not, or gray if it's inconclusive if they don't know. But also now everywhere in the area on this map, there's a little Wendy's logo where the Wendy's locations are. So if the McDonald's machine's broken, there's a Wendy's right next to it.
Yeah, Wendy's is apparently paying McBroken in order, for some of this
why
data
not?
and to be mentioned.
Well, okay, so right now, how many of them are red?
Yeah.
They're pretty much all green in this area. Let's see. Highway 100, that one's green. Highway 70 is green. Charlotte Pike's green. East Park Drive's green. Hillsborough Road. The only one that I see that is not in operation right now is the one on Nolensville Road, the 4041 Nolensville Road here in Nashville. Everywhere else, it says that it's green in the Nashville area. I don't know if that's exactly true or not. Let's see if I can find another one that's not working.
But I got to tell you, I like the Frosties, though.
I do, too.
Oh, the Hendersonville New Shackle location says it's broken.
All right.
Yeah.
Well.
Anyway,
there's a Wendy's
nearby and get you a $1 Frosty.
There you go. I love that idea. We used to have Dairy Queens back in Texas.
Yes.
Now they do a great flurry. That's right.
Yes.
Did you ever hear the story? See if I can remember this old joke. The two Texans are going through two guys that both salesmen in a car driving through Texas, and they come to it's pronounced Bear, Bexar. But one of the guys says, "Hey, welcome to Bexar County." And they said, "No, it's not Bexar. I don't know." "Well, what is it?" "Well, I don't know, but it's not Bexar. Bexar's wrong." They're having this argument. They pull over. They pull into a restaurant, and they say to the waitress, they say, "Try to help us out here. We're having a real fight over where we are. Would you say very closely where we are?" And the waitress went, "Dairy Queen." Well, that's one of my favorite old
asked.
jokes. That's right. 50 minutes now past the hour. Grace Point Healthcare, affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine. Basic Smart Care plans start at $69 a month, which includes free office visits and free basic labs and diagnostic tests for the entire year. At Grace Point, you are usually seen the same day or the next day, and there's no long wait times or with time to sit around tapping your toe in the waiting room. Grace Point is your primary provider that treats the entire family from newborns to seniors. You feeling run down? Do you have intestinal issues, rashes, hives, or sinus problems? You might have a food allergy. Get tested and learn what foods to avoid in your diet. Grace Point is a military veteran-owned practice located in the heart of Franklin. Call 615-599-6868 to schedule your next medical appointment. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Populations of animals. I mean, think about the white-tailed deer and how when Ed started, and maybe even before Ed a little bit, they started, working to bring these populations back. And now we have these sustainable populations that we can hunt.
Yeah.
The story of the eastern wild turkey and what's happening with turkeys. So I would consider all these things great successes. The conservation efforts that have been worked on by the personnel for years, I would think that it's a great success story for our state.
You're going to see some footage from an old film that was produced here at the agency in the Game and Fish days, and which shows some things like, the wife taking care of the animal that the officer, the husband, had to bring home to take care of, because they got a call, and times have changed. Now we have the rehabilitators that help out with that kind of thing. And
thank goodness. We got to be really good friends with some of those little animals. And my first commission in 1972.
Okay. Yeah.
At that time, it was a little different. The whole law enforcement world was different then. So anyway, we got the first commission in 1972 and worked all over the state. It was really great to be able to do that. Pretty much you had one uniform. And I noticed in the movie too, everybody wearing ties, for years and years. You had to, if you wore a long sleeve shirt, you had to wear a tie. It didn't matter if you were doing enforcement or sailing a pond or whatever you were doing, you had that tie on.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And then everybody looked forward. There was one date and it kind of moved. It was generally around April the 1st. You switched from long sleeves to short sleeves and you didn't have to wear a tie. And everybody's going, come on, April 1st.
You know, there are a lot of diagnoses out there and a pill for just about everything, but not all diagnoses are accurate and not all pills are actually good for you. Well, when you get a diagnosis for European auto repair, you might want to get a second opinion before you make a major decision. And Eurofix is the home for second opinions. Before you spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on European vehicle repair from a diagnosis you got somewhere else, why don't you go to Eurofix? It could save your vehicle's life and could save you a lot of money. At Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit. No high-pressure sales tactics. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And at Eurofix, you never pay dealer prices. Located in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and their newest location, Mount Juliet, call 844-EUROFIX or visit myEurofix.com and tell them your friend and radio buddy Brian Wilson sent you.
Six o'clock on the dot this Friday evening. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. East Tennessee seems to be getting some of the worst of what is left of Hurricane Helene. I-40 shut down just inside the border with North Carolina due to the Pigeon River eroding the bank under the interstate. No telling when they're going to be able to reopen that. I mean, part of the interstate is gone. Dozens of people were airlifted to safety after spending hours on the roof of Unicoi County Hospital in Union County. It took several trips and 5 helicopters. Irwin Town Alderman Mike Baker explains why it was such a dangerous operation.
With the wind gust just coming down those valleys and the hospital being right at the base of that, it was extremely windy, very gusty. So, unfortunately, we had to wait to get those helicopters in the air.
Yeah, ambulances were first sent in to evacuate and relocate patients, but the hospital flooded so quickly, paramedics could not get near it. By the way, the death toll from Helene stands at 43 across 4 states. There's a search and rescue mission out west. It doesn't have anything to do with Helene. Alex Stone says crews south of Salt Lake City trying to get a small airplane out of a lake to recover the 2 people on board.
When the small plane, a Cirrus SR-22, crashed, it had been cleared to land at the Provo airport, but just short of the runway, it went down into Lake Utah. Witnesses say it hit the water hard. Rescue teams moved in, finding the aircraft and the parachute that Cirrus planes can deploy all underwater. Rescuers heard on Broadcastify as dive teams got to the plane.
We've located what we believe is the cockpit.
Investigators say 2 men were on board.
They are believed to be dead. A Texas congressman says he's been provided with data showing tens of thousands of illegal immigrants with sex offenses and homicide convictions having been released into the U.S. House Homeland Security Committee member Tony Gonzalez telling Fox News he requested this data from the Biden-Harris administration on how many illegal immigrants with a criminal history have been released in our communities back in March. Well, he got his answer this week from Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement. Over 662,000.
When I got this letter back, I was grateful that I got the response, but my stomach turned. You know, my heart sank to see the numbers on paper. It just goes to show of how real this threat is.
Yeah, that includes 13,099 convicted of homicide, 2,521 kidnapping convictions, 15,811 have sexual assault convictions. And as he departed Air Force One at Dover Air Force Base, Karen Travers asked President Biden if he supported Israel's decision to try to kill the leader of Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hassan Nasrallah, today.
Sir, how concerned are you about escalation right now in Lebanon?
I'm always concerned about that. I'm always concerned.
Yeah, the president said he had no knowledge of or participation in the IDF action, the U.S. The strikes happened shortly after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delivered a speech to the UN General Assembly in New York where he told other world leaders Israel's goal is to eliminate the terror threats posed by Hamas and Hezbollah. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, I am
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hey, good evening, everyone. 7 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. This is the fourth and final hour, the last hour of this week, where I'll be broadcasting to you. We'll go all the way till the 7 o'clock news, and then after that, Mark Levin's show comes on. You don't want to miss that. A lot of ground to cover here. Some stories that are breaking. I saw this story, and I thought, we don't hear enough about this kind of stuff. We really should know more about this kind of stuff. And the fact that it's not going to be reported on the evening news makes me even more concerned. But we have around 40,000 people in the Mideast on assignment, military people on assignment in the Middle East. 40,000. And they're in harm's way each and every day. Listen to this story from FoxNews.com. You won't hear this anywhere else. U.S. warships come under attack in the Red Sea as nearly 24 incoming missiles and drones were shot down. Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi militants have attacked numerous commercial and military vessels following the October 7th massacre against Israel. 3 U.S. warships came under attack Friday off the coast of Yemen by Iran-backed Houthi rebels who have disrupted commercial shipping in the region. No one was hurt. The warships shot down nearly 24 incoming missiles and drones while transiting a narrow entrance into the Red Sea. None of the vessels was hit and no sailors on board were hurt. But I mean, that's because they're very good at what they do, not because there's no danger. The USS Stockdale and USS Spruance, along with a littoral combat ship, the USS Indianapolis, were transiting the strait there when the naval warships came under attack from a barrage of incoming ballistic missile, cruise missiles, and drones. We did see a complex attack launched from the Houthis that ranged from cruise missiles and waves, Pentagon Deputy Press Secretary Sabrina Singh told reporters Friday. My understanding is those were either engaged in, shot down, or failed. The Stockdale and Spruance are part of the USS Abraham Lincoln Aircraft Carrier Strike Group that recently arrived in the Middle East from the Pacific. Now, U.S. forces have struck back at Houthi militants on multiple occasions for nearly a year. The rebel group has routinely attacked commercial and military vessels at sea over Israel's war against Hamas. The number of commercial ships passing through the Red Sea has dropped 90% since the October 7th attacks and the massacre against Israel. And recently, the Houthis attacked a Greek-flagged oil tanker which carried 4 times the amount of oil that was spilled from the Exxon Valdez in Alaska's Prince William Sound back in '89. Now, no major oil spill occurred here, but the ship had to be towed into port after being adrift in the Red Sea for days with flames visible from the deck. That's really quite something. I mean, we are in a low-grade war there. I mean, Kamala Harris doesn't think that anybody's in a war zone. She doesn't think that anybody in the U.S. military is in a war. Well, technically, you have to have a declared war, I guess, to have a war zone. We certainly have people in harm's way. And this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. We don't talk much about this. Hardly gets mentioned that we have people out there. And who's at fault here? Well, the Houthi rebels launched the attack, but who supports the Houthi rebels? Iran. It is the Hamas, the Hezbollah, and the Houthi rebels, the 3 H's, that are responsible for all of the turmoil in that particular part of the world. And the only reason they're able to do that is they get great support and financial backing from Iran. So we are sort of in a proxy war with Iran as it speaks right now. Now, we have the ability to handle most of this. But it's not that our people are in they're in places where they are in harm's way. And, you've got to get lucky every time. 12 missiles come your way, and you're lucky enough to shoot down all 12. That's good work. But they only have to get lucky once. We have to get lucky every time. So just a reminder. And we've got, by the way, people from Fort Campbell, Kentucky going that direction now. So, this does have a local impact on us. It truly does. Fox News has come out this evening with new poll numbers from the important Pennsylvania. If you were with us a little earlier, you heard me talk about the importance of NEPA, which is northeastern Pennsylvania, and how that could well decide the election in Pennsylvania. The good news for Republicans and conservatives is that Kamala Harris is not likely to play well in NEPA, which is a heavily Catholic area and very, very white, very Catholic, and rather old school about old things. And she's, of course, out there talking about the need for abortion rights, not likely to sell in a highly Catholic area. As NEPA goes, so goes the state of Pennsylvania. But this is a poll, and it's another one of those polls from the swingiest of all the swing states that says it's really tight. Vice President Harris and former President Trump are locked in a tight race in Pennsylvania, mostly unchanged since July. This despite the array of newsworthy events since then, including the Democrat National Convention, a presidential debate, and a second Trump assassination attempt. A new Fox survey of Pennsylvania voters finds Harris narrowly ahead of Trump by 2 points among registered voters. But if you look at the likely voters, which is always the better idea, the race is tied 49-49. The July results conducted shortly after President Biden dropped out and endorsed Harris, but before she was conclusively the nominee, were deadlocked at 49 each. So hasn't changed much. Isn't that interesting? After all of that, I mean, I think, if I'm reading this correctly, she had a moment where her numbers sort of went up a little bit. But I'm seeing signs. Now, some of this is polling data, and some of it is just anecdotal stuff you read here or there about what's going on. And I read this stuff extensively. And I'm telling you, I'm beginning to see little signs that something may be happening, that maybe she reached her high water mark and now support for Harris is pulling back. And that's the right trend. If that is a trend, and I think it is, that's the right trend. And it's happening at exactly the right time, because you know what's happening now? People are voting. People are already starting to vote. So there you go. New information about the swingiest of all the swing states, Pennsylvania. Will this election be a replay of 2016? I think it might. Certainly, it feels like more 2016 than 2020. In the 2016 election, writes Real Clear Politics, Hillary Clinton led the national polls at the end of September by 3 to 4 points. Her opponent, Donald Trump, was focused on carrying a small number of key states that most pundits didn't think he could win, but ultimately did. This year, Kamala Harris is leading national polls by 2 points, not 4. In swing states, that will determine the winner. Polls show Trump leading Arizona, North Carolina, and Georgia by very small margins. It's pretty much tied in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Nevada, and only in Michigan does Harris have much of an edge. Why is Trump doing better in the swing states than in the national vote? Television ads might be the answer, according to the Real Clear Politics. Trump's ad spending is targeting to those 7 states, and more importantly, the messaging in those ads is much more disciplined and cogent than what comes from the media coverage of his speeches, interviews, and tweets. Sad but true. In short, Trump's campaign is doing better framing the choice for voters in the 7 swing states than in the ignored 43 states, which include California, New York, and yes, the home state of Louisiana, writes this person. Could it be that 2024 will be a replay of 2016? I think so. So watch that. I mean, I've heard people who I respect a great deal saying this is shaping up a lot more like 2016 than 2020. And of course, in 2016, Trump squeaked one out. Speaking of Harris, I think we need to talk a lot more about this, because I think this really resonates throughout the South, and especially in places like North Carolina. And Georgia, where Trump needs to win, right? Harris has not only threatened to storm the homes of legal gun owners, she supported a handgun ban. Now, she says she owns a gun, but nobody seems to know what kind of gun, and she won't answer the question. Kamala Harris's recent indication that her values have not changed prompted critics to wonder what, besides taxpayer-funded sex change for illegal aliens, the elimination of the Hyde Amendment, and the legalization of crack cocaine for personal consumption, she still supports. Just days after sleuths found footage of Harris threatening to storm homes of law-abiding Americans for surprise gun inspections, CNN analyst Stephen Gutowski highlighted Harris's sponsorship of a handgun ban. Gutowski dug up a November 2005 San Jose Mercury News article indicating that San Francisco's then Attorney General, Kamala Harris, sponsored Proposition H, an ordinance that banned the manufacture, distribution, sale, and transfer of handguns in San Francisco. Now, she says her values haven't changed. But then she says, well, I'm a gun owner. I'm not out to grab your guns. And then she'll spend 3 or 4 minutes telling you about how she wants to restrict your Second Amendment rights. Don't fall for this one. She not only supported a handgun ban, she actually, as district attorney in San Francisco believed that she had the right to enter people's homes to find out if they were securing their guns the way she felt they should be secured. That law enforcement could just knock on your door, walk into your house, and examine how you were handling your weapons and whether they were secured in a method that is approved by the people of San Francisco or by the leaders of San Francisco. What nut? That's nutty. That's unbelievable. But she actually believed she had that right. And she said they were going to do it. Well, I mean, I think the Constitution would have a little something to say about that. Unreasonable search and seizure. Certainly, many constitutional issues with that. But what's fascinating about it is she actually believed, as an attorney, you know, you're supposed to study the Constitution. She actually believed she had the right to do that. She is a gun grabber, and anybody who tells you different is not paying attention. And do not fall for this stuff that says, well, I'm not out to grab you guns. I'm a gun owner. Well, if she's a gun owner, I want to see a picture of it. She hadn't shown anybody a picture of what kind of gun she has. She won't answer the question. Campaign won't answer the question. White House won't answer the question. If she's got a gun in the District of Columbia, there's some pretty strict restrictions there in the D.C. area about guns. I know. I used to live there. I used to work there. You know, I had to stop. If I were going to carry, I could have gotten a concealed carry permit in Maryland, probably. They're hard to get. You had to go to the state, but when I was there, you had to go to the state patrol and get them to approve you, and you had to give them a valid reason. And then they would decide if the reason was valid enough. But Larry Hogan was the governor then, and by just a little bit, he's sort of a Republican. He's running for the Senate now. He might actually win. But he was the governor, and I thought, well, I could probably go to the state patrol. I get up early in the morning. I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I stop for coffee. I stop for gasoline. And I thought I could make the case that I needed a concealed carry permit in the state of Maryland. Problem is that I would have to stop when I got to the district line and take my handgun and put it in the trunk and unload it to be in compliance with the law. He says, I mean, you just can't, when you're driving, and you often do drive in that area, from Maryland to D.C. and D.C. to Virginia, Virginia to D.C. and D.C. into Maryland, you're all over the place. You know, all three of those jurisdictions had different gun laws. And it was never worth it. So I never did. But I mean, you know, if you're in D.C., and it's a little better now since the Supreme Court has issued some rulings, but still, they're very hinky about guns there. And I'll say this for a moment from now. This is about the Michigan legislature and what they want to happen with people who they think are not storing their guns properly. We'll come to that in just a moment. Right now, 21 past the hour. Well, my friends over at the Restoration Wellness and Med Spa can help you achieve your health goals. Restoration Wellness is a leader in weight loss management in Wilson County. Just call the Restoration Wellness team today at 615-470-8124 or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation today. Now, you're going to meet my friends Carly and Jamie, who will take great care of you just like you're part of the family. Be a part of the more than 1,000 patients who've already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program there, and I am one of them, a very happy and well-satisfied customer. Gain your confidence back. Weight loss can increase your energy levels, improve your quality of sleep, enhance your overall health. Customized treatment plans are available. This is not a one-size-fits-all thing. They will look at your needs, your lifestyle, and your goals and come up with something that's just right for you. Whether your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has a solution for you. Learn about the newest technology in weight loss management. Go to restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It is 26 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I just don't understand what's going on in this country. Listen to this story from wokespy.com. And it has to do with the state of Michigan, which, of course, is a swing state this year. Democrats and Republicans in the Michigan House of Representatives passed a bipartisan amendment to the state's K-12 budget containing a provision, you ready for this, that encourages students to report on their parents for improperly stored firearms, this according to the Detroit Free Press. School leaders around the state were skeptical of the fiscal year 2025 school budget that the state legislature passed and Governor Gretchen Whitmer signed in July. And so the Democrats rammed through HB 5503, a budget amendment to the 2025 budget, with the help of some Republicans. The final $1 million in the bill, ostensibly a part of the school safety aspect of the bill, will create a tip line number which children could call in order to anonymously rat out their parents for engaging in alleged improper firearm storage practices. Like, what could possibly go wrong with this? So, you get into a disagreement with your teenager, which I understand happens from time to time between parents and teenagers. And the teenager gets mad, and the next thing you know, they've called the tip line, and you got people banging on your door. It was inserted into the conference committee report for the Michigan School Aid Bill, and the Michigan Coalition for Responsible Gun Owners tweeted, the conference committee report is expected to be voted on immediately in the House with no testimony allowed. They rammed it through. Wow. It passed in the House by 98-1. And in the Senate by 23-5 in Michigan. Crazy, just crazy stuff. Remember when Hillary Clinton called everybody, a basket, everybody who supported Trump, part of an infamous basket of deplorables? Yeah, remember that? And it seems, according to the Daily Fetch, that she'll never get over that election loss. She revived her remarks. In a Washington Post op-ed, Clinton said her description does not go far enough to describe MAGA. In 2016, she writes, I famously described half of Trump supporters as the basket of deplorables. Clinton wrote in the article adapted from her latest book. I was talking about the people who are drawn to his racism, sexism, homophobia, xenophobia, Islamophobia, you name it. The people for whom this bigotry is a feature, not a bug. It was an unfortunate choice of words and bad politics, no kidding. It may have lost her the election. But it also got an important truth. She's not backing down on this. She thinks if you support Donald Trump, you are a deplorable. In fact, she doesn't think that deplorable is a strong enough word. Talk about the deplorable. Some of those folks, they are irredeemable, she said in 2016. Part of me would say this is still objectively true. So she writes in her books that she's just not backing down. She can't admit she lost. It crushes her. I mean, it is a bee in her bonnet. It is a bug in an unpleasant place that she cannot get over the fact that she was beaten by Donald Trump. She still can't believe it. She's still shocked, stunned, and amazed, and embittered by the process. And she just can't hang up attacking people who look at Donald Trump and say, look, I may from time to time disagree with the way he says things, but what I really love is the way he ran the country. And she can't get past that. She can't understand. Look, Hillary Clinton was a universally dislikable individual. She wasn't likable, and she didn't run a very good campaign. And she got beaten fair and square, even though, she complained that there must have been some cheating somewhere. The Democrats remember when the Democrats, they couldn't believe that Donald Trump had won, and they kept saying, well, there's got to be something crooked, something wrong here. And there were all these challenges by the Democrats. We forgot about that. So, Hillary Clinton, she never ceases to amaze. It is 31 minutes past the hour. Hey, did you know that gold is at or near all-time highs? That hasn't happened in a while. And silver's up quite a bit as well. Meanwhile, the U.S. dollar has lost 25% of its value since 2020. Government-induced inflation is stealing your wealth, and it doesn't seem that Washington, D.C. has any plans to stop. Gold and other precious metals are a great shield against that inflation theft. It's an election year. You'll hear talk from the politicians, and they promise that they'll rein in their spending, but you know they can't. They're never been able to do it. That's why no matter who's in office, gold protects you from the D.C. spending sprees. And where do you go to get that protection? Well, reach out to my friends Kyle and Hannah at Nashville Gold and Coin. They'll take great care of you and keep you well informed on all precious metals opportunities. Please act now and get your shield against out-of-control government spending. Go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com to set up your appointment today.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It's 22 minutes now past the hour. I'm sorry, no, it's not. It's 38 minutes past the hour. We have 22 minutes left in the program, and we're going to be going all the way up to 7 o'clock, and then we'll hand it off to Mark Levin, the great one, and he'll carry on throughout the rest of the night. The Secret Service could not provide coverage for Donald Trump in Wisconsin. Seems a little unfair that Kamala Harris can go to Wisconsin and do a big rally, but they couldn't provide appropriate coverage for Donald Trump to go to Wisconsin. And what they claim is that they had too much else going on at the United Nations General Assembly, where they are responsible for the safety and security of over 140 world leaders amid a challenged global threat level. So they said, I'm sorry, we got to go do the UN General Assembly. Mr. Trump, you cannot go to Wisconsin. It's not quite right. I'm sorry that it's difficult, but this is what you have to do in a society. You have to give him the ability to campaign in a battleground state. So they just told him no. But, it'd be one thing if they told him no and they also told Kamala Harris no. But they don't do that. It seems to be sort of an unfair advantage that the vice president has. Again, I understand that you've got so many resources and they're stretched very thin, and the threat level is very high right now. But, there's nothing more important than a presidential candidate getting to talk to the voters who can decide whether or not he'll become president. To deny someone just seems like wrong. So whatever you got to do, if you have to bring in the 101st Airborne, whatever you got to do, you've got to give him the ability to go there and give a speech and hold a rally. It's not fair, not right. With the time left, I've got a series of rather unusual, wacky stories. Some of them not wacky, just some of them unusual. Some of them are just fun. A New York aquarium came to the rescue of a rare blue lobster hanging out with the standard colored crustaceans in a supermarket tank. You go to the supermarket, you go to the lobster tank, look at the lobsters. A couple of kids, she was there. Danielle Morales was there with their sons, Parker 4 and Zachary 3, and they liked always going by and looking at the lobsters. So they're looking at the lobsters, and they said, hey, that one's blue. And they thought, well, that's weird, and they took a picture of it. Then they called the local aquarium while they were in the grocery store, and they said, wait a minute, there's a blue lobster in the tank? We'll be right down. So they went to the counter and told the people at the grocery store, hey, the aquarium is going to call you. Please don't sell that blue lobster. And the lobster ended up being named Bluey, after the popular cartoon character.
That's creative.
Yeah, Bluey. Aquarium officials collected Bandit from the store. He's currently in quarantine and will soon join the rest of the facility's lobsters in October. It can be caused by a genetic mutation. Sometimes lobsters are orange, blue, or white. But sometimes, especially when they're blue, it has something to do with what kind of food they ate. They say if you eat a lot of shrimp, it can cause a lobster to turn blue. Which makes me worried because I can eat a lot of shrimp.
You go to that buffet, boy.
Yeah, they give me some of that shrimp. Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, but I thought it's interesting. Apparently, sometimes it's genetic, sometimes it's dietary.
You would think that the people that worked in the grocery store would have
noticed
recognized it. Would go, wait a minute, this is unique. Maybe we should call someone.
A blue lobster.
Yeah.
This is a local story from WSMV's website. Masked men accused of stealing nearly $10,000 worth of Magic the Gathering, they're apparently trading cards, in Murfreesboro. They showed up wearing the Michael Myers like hockey mask.
Oh, you mean Jason?
Yeah, Jason.
Yeah. Friday the 13th guy. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And then the other one was wearing a nun mask.
Okay.
Murfreesboro police have arrested 2 masked men accused of stealing thousands of dollars in Magic the Gathering cards from a comic book store this week. I don't know what Magic the Gathering is.
I thought it was a game, but
I guess it's a game.
But maybe it is a collectible. I don't know.
I don't know. Police said now you'd think, well, this has got to be a couple of kids, right? One of them was 42. Philip Clodfelter. Now there's a name for a criminal, alleged criminal. Philip Clodfelter of Huntsville, Alabama. Of course, he's from Huntsville, Alabama. And Kelly Garner, age 64.
What?
Allegedly broke into the Grand Adventures Comics and Games on Memorial Boulevard by shattering the glass on the front door Tuesday night. The duo, because they're captured on cameras, that's why we know they had these masks on, stole $8,000 worth of collectible game cards. Both Clodfelter and Garner face multiple charges, including burglary, theft, and vandalism. Surveillance videos captured them wearing distinctive masks, but it also identified their getaway car. Forgot to change the license plate out or hide the unbelievable. They stopped the car due to erratic driving in Murfreesboro. During the traffic stop, officers spotted the mask and stolen game cards in plain sight, right there in the back seat.
So they had broken some laws, and then they broke some more laws, and that's why they got caught.
Yeah, you're driving erratically.
Yeah.
If you've just committed a burglary, maybe you don't want to do anything that would cause the police to notice you, like driving erratically. I don't know. Garner and Clodfelter are also suspected of committing similar burglaries at comic stores in Brentwood and Nashville. They are currently in jail in Rutherford County, adult detention, both being held on a $48,000 bond. Huh.
The most interesting thing about that story to me is that these cards actually must have a little bit of worth to them. I mean, that $8,000+ that's a lot of money for just collectible cards.
Yeah, I've never gotten into that kind of stuff. I don't think I collect our guitars, and they're expensive enough. I wish I could have been there for this. In Capitol Hill, in the rotunda, and then on either side of the rotunda under the big dome, they have what they call statues, and then there's the old House Chambers, which is Statuary Hall. A lot of statues. Each state provides 2 statues. Over the years, sometimes they've changed. Sometimes, you have honored people that you find out maybe you really shouldn't have honored. So maybe you get a new statue now and then. There's a new one. It's Johnny Cash. A statue of the late country singer was unveiled Tuesday inside the U.S. Capitol, marking the first time a musician has received such an honor. Arkansas, his home state, selected Cash to represent the state within the Capitol after deciding in 2019 to replace its previous statues of Uriah Rose and James Clark, which were removed for having been a Confederate sympathizer and a segregationist. A statue of civil rights leader Daisy Bates was installed earlier this year, but the other is Johnny Cash, the man in black. And by the way, it's a great statue.
It's a good one, yeah.
It really captures him, and it's like that scene you've seen 1,000 times where he has the guitar slung over his back backwards. Mm-hmm. He always walked on stage with the guitar slung over his back rather than walk out carrying it in his hands. And so it's good. Mike Johnson said, "Some may ask, why should a musician have a statue here in the halls of the great American Republic? The answer is pretty simple. Because America is more than about laws and politics." So he said it can be also about music. So there you go. Johnny Cash in Statuary Hall on Capitol Hill. Love that. Love that. And then finally, this came down a couple of days ago. Do you ever watch the Today Show?
I have in the past, yeah.
Yeah. Hoda Kotb.
Ah, yes.
Which is an interesting name. It's Kotb. Hoda Kotb. She's been on the Today Show for a long time. She's been there as a co-host with Savannah Guthrie since 2017. That was when Matt Lauer made his untimely departure. She's leaving the show. It's time for me to turn the page at age 60, said Coatby, holding back tears. I decided this was the right time to move on. Obviously, I had my kiddos late in life, and I was thinking they deserve a bigger piece of my time pie that I have. A time pie.
Never heard that before. That's
well,
weird.
You need a bigger slice. I would have said slice rather than piece. But, it's her departure. Coatby is viewed at Inside NBC as a crucial part of the Today Show. And that is a big moneymaker. It's not quite the moneymaker it was back in the day, but it is a moneymaker. And she actually not only hosts the part of the Today Show, but also sticks around to do the 10 a.m. hour with Hoda and Jenna Bush.
Used to do it with Kathy Lee.
Used to do it with my friend Kathy Lee. That's right. In fact, she did it. She co-hosted the 10 a.m. hour of Today in 2008 with Kathy Lee Gifford until 2019. They were together, 9 years? That's pretty good. So when Jenna Bush Hager took over the role and Kathy came to Nashville, and we were, that worked out well for everybody. I don't know, why would you announce you're leaving so early? It's 50 minutes now past the hour. D.T. McCall & Sons has been around in Middle Tennessee for more than 100 years, more than a century, 5 locations, one of them near you. Now, here's the thing. One of the things I love about D.T. McCall's is that whenever possible, they do business with other companies that made or manufacture products that they sell here in Middle Tennessee. They're investing in Middle Tennessee. And when you buy stuff from D.T. McCall's, you're buying from a company in Middle Tennessee that invests in other companies in Middle Tennessee. You're keeping your dollars local. I mean, if you're going to buy something like furniture or appliances or a mower or whatever it happens to be, doesn't it make more sense to keep the dollars local rather than send them to some company, the corporate headquarters in Delaware? I think so. And here's the other thing. They're going to deal honestly with you. They'll give you a good price, and that price will include the cost of delivery, setup, and haul away. They don't nickel and dime you to death like some of the big box stores do. So if you need furniture, you need appliances, you need a mower, you need a gun safe, you need anything that you might imagine that you need to make your house a home, why don't you go to D.T. McCall's and find out where the nearest one is near you by going to their website, dtmccalls.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.